Chapter 26. On the other side, not far from Lin, under the same tall tree, Uchiha Obito trains with great dedication and seriousness. Although Obito has poor control over chakra, he is able to practice persistently and see noticeable improvement every day. Gradually, the distance between him and Lin gradually narrowed, and Obito was very happy. But now Obito is not happy, because he saw a figure he least wanted to see, Uchiha Kyosuke. At this time, Kyosuke was holding Rin's hand very intimately, which made Obito look very appetizing. How can it be repaired? This guy Uchiha Kyosuke doesn't follow Orochimaru-sama's training and tasks properly. He has nothing to do all day, and only knows to harass his comrade, Rin. Obito stared at Kyosuke through gritted teeth. Damn Uchiha Kyosuke. Kyosuke naturally ignored Obito's hateful gaze. Kyosuke he also found Kakashi with silver hair not far away. At this time, Kakashi was very comfortable. Uchiha Obito and Lin were training with sweat, but he was sitting leisurely under the tree, very low-key, arrogant, took out a book and read it with relish. Seeing this scene, Kyosuke even had some malicious guesses about the book in Kakashi's hand. Shouldn't it be a small yellow book, such as a divine book similar to the Intimacy Paradise series? Kyosuke withdrew his gaze and pulled Lin to the front of the tall tree. The trunk of the tree is full of dense marks that have been scratched by Kuwu, from the bottom of the tree to the highest 10 meters, which is the limit that Lin can walk up to. For the past few days, Lin has been lingering in the same place, making little progress. On the contrary, Obito at the back of the crane made rapid progress, almost catching up with Lin. This is also the reason why Lin felt lost when Kyosuke said that. Lin, you go up the tree again. I'll see where you went wrong. Kyosuke squeezed Lin's hand and said, Rin raised her head and looked at Kyosuke in a strange way. Kyosuke-kun, you are majoring in Taijutsu. Can you do this training too? She also consulted the teacher Namikaze Minato about the problems that bothered Lin, but Namikaze Minato told Lin that she could only experience it slowly by herself. Don't look at me so suspiciously. Kyosuke glared at Rin angrily. Although I majored in Taijutsu, training like controlling chakra to walk on trees and on water is still very simple for me. Kyosuke is not bragging. Even though he majored in Taijutsu, he didn't say that he didn't practice chakra ninjutsu. It's just that in Taijutsu and ninjutsu, he spent more time and energy practicing Taijutsu. For these two basic chakra fine control training programs, Kyosuke has been doing it a few years ago. Go Rin, let me see what's wrong with you. But I told you in advance that I'm very strict as a teacher. If you don't do well, be careful and I'll spank you directly. Kyosuke pat Lin said. Lin, whose face was immediately flushed with blush, couldn't help but glared at Kyosuke, and then she walked up to the big tree, took a deep breath, adjusted her mind, felt chakra past her feet, and walked up the tree step by step. At the beginning, Lin was able to walk up easily, but after walking 10 meters, Lin couldn't. The chakra under her feet began to become disordered and out of control. Her body swayed and her foot smashed the surface of the tree trunk. So Lin hurriedly took out Kunwu and made a mark on the tree, then jumped down. How is it? Kyosuke. At this time, Kyosuke had already discovered the problem with Lin. There were two main aspects. One was that the balance of her body was not well controlled. The other was that chakra's control was still a bit poor. Kyosuke analyzed these two aspects to Lin, then gave some guidance, and then let Lin continue to try it. After Kyosuke's thoughtful teaching, after trying 4 or 5 times, Lin actually mastered the method completely and was able to walk up the treetop flexibly. Kyosuke, look, I succeeded. Lin, who finally reached the top of the tree, looked very excited and hurriedly shouted to Kyosuke below the tree. Lin did not expect that after listening to Kyosuke and running chakra according to the method taught by Kyosuke, she really walked up to the top of the tree. It's so easy. Seeing Lin, who was very excited on the top of the tree, Kyosuke was also happy for her and felt a little proud. It seems that I still have the talent to be a teacher. This is Lin's voice. What's wrong with her? Seeing that Kyosuke came to Lin again just now, Obito, who turned his grief and anger into motivation, immediately turned his depression and anger to training and began to practice frantically. Hearing Lin's shout at this time, Obito couldn't help but look over. Hey, why didn't I see Rin? Where did she go? Obito only saw Kyosuke under the tree. However, Obito looked up slowly following Lin's voice and suddenly found Lin's petite figure at the top of the tree. What? Lin actually walked up? Obito couldn't help but widen his eyes with a shocked expression. How can that be? Lin's progress has been slow in the past 2 days, but Obito has made faster and faster progress with his hard work and is even about to catch up with Lin. Because of this, Obito couldn't help but feel a burst of joy, and felt that the distance between himself and Lin was no longer so far away. But looking at it now, in an instant, Obito sadly found that the distance between him and Lin was still so far away. Chapter 27. Before Obito's shocked expression fell, he saw Lin walking down the treetop step by step with great ease. This scene shocked Obito again. He didn't expect that after just a while, Lin's progress was so fast, and the control of chakra was so good. For a time, Obito felt a deep sense of powerlessness in his heart. The movement on Lin's side also alerted Kakashi, who was reading a book nearby, and he couldn't help but raise his head to look at Lin's side. Kakashi saw that Lin had already mastered the way to climb the tree, so he continued to look down at his book. This kind of tree climbing to control chakras training, he has been doing it years ago. And Namake's Minato was a little surprised when she saw that Lin had learned so easily. Is this what Kyosuke taught Lin? Namake's Minato thinks it should be. He knew Minato of Lin's practice. Lin had been stagnant for the past 2 days, so Lin had asked him for advice. But Namake's Minato can't do anything about it either, because he controls chakra based on his personal feelings, and he doesn't know how to teach Rin. But Namake's Minato was far from expecting that Kyosuke, who had just arrived, just gave Lin a brief guide, and Lin could climb the tree flexibly and effortlessly. It seemed that he had mastered the method completely. This surprised Minato, the head of Namake's. Involuntarily, Namake's Minato gave Uchiha Kyosuke a higher look. This physique geek of the Uchiha family is really not easy. After Lin walked down, she rushed over and hugged Kyosuke. Immediately, Kyosuke smelled a faint fresh and moving fragrance. So, Kyosuke also embarrassedly hugged Rin, who rushed up. Obito in the distance was dumbfounded. Well, what's going on? At this moment, Obito's face was full of disbelief. Is the relationship between Rin and Kyosuke really that good? Did the two hug directly? But he didn't know how excited Hong was at this time. 3 days, the huge pressure of the whole 3 days made her almost breathless. And after Kyosuke came, it only took less than an hour to teach her to control chakra perfectly, which made Lin's excited feelings nowhere to vent. So she hugged Kyosuke directly. Lin, who had regained her senses, seemed to have sensed something was wrong, and hurriedly let go of Kyosuke. Her little face turned red slowly, her head bowed, and a twisted look, completely different from just now. Kyosuke-kun, sorry, I'm too excited. But, Kyosuke-kun, thank you so much. Lin was a little shy, but she could clearly hear the emotion and gratitude in her voice. You're welcome, Lin. Seeing this shy and cute Lin, Kyosuke smiled casually. Lin, if you have any difficulties in the future, you can come to me. Lin, whose face was flushed, nodded lightly, yes. Seeing such a cute Rin, Kyosuke, who had just been hugged and killed, felt a little overwhelmed. Sure enough, he has no resistance to the cute things in the world. Lin, let's go and eat ramen with me. Hongdu is already waiting for us. Kyosuke said. Lin hesitated. But I still need to train. Kyosuke was a little speechless. You've already learned. What else are you training? Come with me. After saying that, Kyosuke couldn't tolerate Rin's refusal, so he pulled her and said to Namake's Minato. Namake's Minato agreed. After all, Rin had already learned this training. So Kyosuke and Rin left under Obito's appetizing gaze. Konoha Ramen Restaurant. Looking at Kyosuke and Rin, who finally arrived, Hong, who had been waiting in the ramen restaurant for a long time, asked strangely, Kyosuke-kun, Rin, why are you here so late? Kyosuke waved his hand. Lin encountered some trouble in training, so it was delayed for a while. Oh, go ahead and talk about it. I'm starving to death. Kyosuke-kun, you are worried that you will become a little fat. Giggle, fat man. Kyosuke. Days went back to their usual pattern, training, and then occasionally Orochimaru, a very irresponsible instructor, would show up and instruct Kyosuke. Although Kyosuke's life was peaceful, Konoha began to undercurrent, because 3rd Hokage was about to abdicate, and no one knew who the 4th Hokage would end up with. Several big families of Konoha were also unable to sit still, and secretly moved. The atmosphere in the village, if you notice it carefully, can feel a little dignified. Kyosuke's cheap brother, Uchiha Fugaku, is getting busier and busier during this time. Basically, he comes home very late, and sometimes he doesn't even have time to go home. Kyosuke was used to this kind of situation. For Konoha's changes, he doesn't want to intervene too much for the time being, and he can't intervene. So, eat what you need to eat, drink when you need to, and wave when you need to. Kyosuke is business as usual. Now is not the time for Kyosuke to use his strength, He needs to accumulate strength and wait for it to soar into the sky. This morning, Kyosuke came to the training ground early, completed his daily tasks as usual, and then, ding, the system prompts. The daily task is 5,000 positive punches, 5,000 deep squats, and 20 kilometers of cross-country with a 50 kilograms load. The task is completed. Get quest reward, 5 quest points. A crisp voice resounded in Uchiha Kyosuke's mind again, but it wasn't over yet. Ding, the system prompts. The task point has reached 1,000. Does the host start the lottery? Kyosuke was overjoyed. The quest points were finally gathered. Then, Kyosuke chose without hesitation. Start the lottery. Ding, start the lottery. The lottery draw. Congratulations to host for winning one of the Marine 6 styles. Shaved, entry level. I actually won the shave in Marine 6 styles. Chapter 28. Kyosuke's heart was happy. This was really what was missing. Now Kyosuke has aggressive moves, such as Konoha Fluid Technique, Tempest Kick, Water Rock Breaking Fist. Defensive moves include Iron Body and Paper Arts. Armament Haki is both offensive and defensive. But in terms of speed, Kyosuke doesn't have any moves yet. And the shave of one of the Marine 6 styles, this move just makes up for Kyosuke's shortcoming in speed. Afterwards, Kyosuke felt that there was more Marine 6 styles in his mind, shaving, related content, and he was very familiar with Shaving Master, as if he knew it a long time ago. Now Kyosuke wants to try Marine 6 styles in the sea, shaved. In fact, the principle of shaving is very simple. Step on the ground more than 10 times in an instant, 0.36 seconds, and use the explosive speed generated by the reaction force to achieve instant movement. But if you want to learn it, it is very difficult, which requires not only skills, but also super explosive power to support movement. After years of practice, Kyosuke's physical fitness has reached a relatively perfect level, and he should be fine with the physical fitness requirements he needs to shave. In a very short period of time, and with great speed, Kyosuke stomped hard on the ground. Boom! After a sound, the ground under Kyosuke's feet cracked, and he moved to another location in an instant. Kyosuke couldn't help frowning. No, it's not enough. This method is wrong, and the speed is not good. The strength is okay, the speed is okay, but it's still a little short. On the training ground, the ground was cracked everywhere. Kyosuke's figure was extremely fast. He was still standing in one place just now. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in several other places. The speed was so amazing that it was almost impossible to catch with the naked eye. In the eyes of others, Kyosuke's physical skills are amazing, and his movement speed is even more frightening. At this time, next to the training ground, there were 2 people wearing green tights, thick eyebrows, big eyes and black hair, who looked like father and son. They were stunned when they saw the strange figure of Kyosuke disappearing, appearing and disappearing in an instant on the training ground. The rough middle-aged man with a black beard and a tight green tracksuit, with wide-eyed eyes, looked at Kyosuke in the training ground in disbelief. That child? So amazing. Right. Father, I'm right. Kyosuke-senpai is very powerful. In the graduation test, he defeated Asuma only by relying on physical skills. At this time, Might Guy next to the middle-aged man looked at Uchiha Kyosuke's strange figure that appeared and disappeared suddenly, his eyes full of admiration, like a crazy fan. And this middle-aged man is Might Guy's father, Might Dai. It turned out that the child was a physique genius of the Uchiha clan. Might Dai looked at Uchiha Kyosuke on the training ground, nodded and said solemnly, "Guy, you're right. That boy's physical skills are very special, and he's very strong." The father and son had training to run around Ichon. When they passed by the number 98 training ground in Konoha today, Kyosuke's special physical training immediately attracted them. For Might Dai and his son, the Taijutsu displayed by Kyosuke undoubtedly opened the door to a new world of Taijutsu for their father and son. Kyosuke paused for a moment and exhaled heavily. Although he mastered Marine 6 styles, shaved, entry level, he did not expect it to be so difficult to practice. He can use the shaving technique, but it is very labor-intensive. If he wants to master the master, Kyosuke estimates that he will need to spend more time and energy to practice. It seems that he has been busy these days, Kyosuke said with a wry smile. Oh, Kyosuke-senpai, this is simply amazing. Suddenly hearing excitement and commotion from the side, Kyosuke couldn't help frowning. Someone? Looking in the direction of the voice, Kyosuke saw Might Guy and his son in tight green tracksuits. It turned out to be Might Guy and Might Dai. Kyosuke doesn't even know the 2 of them in Hokage, especially their 8 inner gates. To be honest, Kyosuke was envious and wanted to get the 8 inner gates. Looking at Might Guy and Might Die, Kyosuke couldn't help thinking, if I could. When Kyosuke was thinking about things, Guy was like a crazy groupie. He couldn't control his excitement at all, and rushed forward with great excitement. It's really amazing. Senior Kyosuke, what kind of taijutsu did you practice just now? I've never seen it before. Is it your own physique? It's really amazing. During the ninja school graduation actual combat assessment, Might Guy saw with his own eyes how Kyosuke easily defeated and competed with Asuma. At that time, he began to worship Kyosuke. It can be said that Guy's adoration of Kyosuke is second only to his father Might Die. Oh, so it's Guy, hello. Kyosuke greeted Guy with a smile. Unexpectedly, the senior actually knew him. Might Guy couldn't help but be even more happy, and his words trembled. Kyosuke-senpai, you know me? Chapter 29. Kyosuke was a little speechless. They were all in the same class and had been together for a few years. How could they not know each other, even though they didn't communicate much with each other before? Then, Might Guy asked excitedly, Senior Kyosuke, in the ninja practice test last time, were the moves you used all your own taijutsu? It's really amazing. And the move you performed just now can instantly disappear and appear in the other side of the body. Was it also created by you, Senior? Might Guy is just like a little fanboy, admiring Kyosuke. Looking at such an enthusiastic Might Guy, Kyosuke couldn't help laughing and laughing. Is this the Emperor Guy in the original book? It's too enthusiastic, acting like he is his idol. Guy, don't be rude. Might Day stepped forward. Might put it on to stop his little fanatic son, and then he looked at Kyosuke and exclaimed, You're Uchiha Kyosuke, right? The genius of Uchiha's physique who defeated Asuma in the ninja practice test. He really is a genius. The physique genius of the Uchiha clan? Hearing this title, Kyosuke was dumbfounded. Since Kyosuke defeated Asuma and won the first place in the actual combat test, the title of the Uchiha family's taijutsu monster has replaced the Uchiha family's aliens. Hello, Senior Dai, Might. The other party was so enthusiastic, and Kyosuke was not good at putting on a show. You know me? My Might was a little surprised. You must know that at this time, Might Dalian Chunin has not yet achieved, just an extremely ordinary genet. Seeing Might Dai's surprised expression, Kyosuke knew that he had missed something. After all, Might Dai is still a nobody, and he hasn't explained the power of youth to 8 inner gates. You must know that Might Dai, with the 8 inner gates fully open, used Genin's strength to forcibly beat the 7 ninja knives into 3 ninja knives, and only the Loquat Tinzang, Watermelon Mountain Puffer Ghost, and Black Ho Leah survived. The others were killed in the battle. This shows how powerful the 8 inner gates are. Forehead, Kyosuke reacted a little embarrassed. He didn't know how to round it, so he simply said, Senior Might Dai is modest. You must know your 8 inner gates. I am very envious. As soon as Kyosuke said these words, Might Dai was even more surprised. You actually know 8 inner gates? To know 8 inner gates, but Might Dai in addition to passing on to his son Might Guy. Not many people know. Looking at the surprised Might Dai, Kyosuke nodded. That's right. Furthermore, I also admire Senior Might Dai, who can possess such a powerful physical technique. This sentence Kyosuke is not a compliment to Might Dai. Hearing the reply of Uchiha Kyosuke, the physique geek of the Uchiha clan, Might Dai was so excited that he almost cried. He had a sense of being recognized, knowing that Might Dai spent his life going to master 8 inner gates and was not well received. Senior Kyosuke, may I practice with you? At this time, Might Guy looked at Kyosuke very seriously and pleaded. If he could train with Kyosuke-senpai, his idol, that would be something Might Guy could only wish for. Kyosuke was stunned, thought for a moment, then smiled. Of course you can. Really? That's a big thank you to Kyosuke-senpai. Might Guy was excited when he heard Kyosuke agree. Kyosuke. Kyosuke felt a little embarrassed watching the little fanboy call his senior one after another. Don't call me senior. We are classmates after all. Just call me Kyosuke directly. Yes. Seeing Guy admiring himself so much, Kyosuke thought of the thought just now, and he said, Guy, if you're interested, I can teach you my own moves. Really? Guy was so excited. Kyosuke classmate, is what you said true? Can you really teach me your own physique? Kaoru had long been envious of the mighty taijutsu displayed by Kyosuke. Moreover, he didn't expect Kyosuke to say that he could teach him at this time. Guy, don't be rude. Kai was in the midst of surprises, but the father beside him stopped him with a serious look. Might Dai knew that self-created ninjutsu was not a Chinese cabbage on the street, and it was a secret trick to teach others casually. In the eyes of Might Guy, what Kyosuke said just now was just a polite remark. But he didn't expect his son to take it seriously. After being reminded by his father, Kai, who had reacted, understood in an instant, and corrected his attitude and said, "Anyway, I would like to thank Kyosuke-san for his kindness, but I refuse." Then Might Guy was full of enthusiasm, full of youth, and said in a high-spirited tone, "Youth is about marching forward bravely, not afraid of difficulties, and meeting the sun every day. My Might Guy will definitely succeed in the future. Kyosuke, thank you for your kindness. And I was too unreasonable just now." Kyosuke was speechless for a moment. The Konoha blue beast is indeed a wonderful creature. "Actually, I have conditions to teach you." Kyosuke began to slowly reveal his plans. "Conditional?" Might Guy and his son looked at Kyosuke with puzzled expressions. Then Kyosuke laughed. "As I said just now, I admire the 8 inner gates of Senior Might Guy. If possible, I can exchange the 8 inner gates with my self-created physique. What do you think?" Exchange? The Might Guy father and son were stunned. They couldn't believe it and looked at each other with wide eyes. Uchiha Kyosuke, the Taiju geek of the Uchiha clan, actually traded his powerful taijutsu with his obscure 8 inner gates. Did they hear it right? Chapter 30. 8 Inner Gates. Here it is. Looking at Might Guy and his son in a daze, Kyosuke thought about it and said, "What? If it's inconvenient, then forget it." "No," Might Guy said quickly, and then he looked at Uchiha Kyosuke seriously and said, "Kyosuke-kun, are you really going to trade your own ninjutsu for my 8 inner gates? Are you sure you're not kidding?" Kyosuke nodded seriously and said, "As I said earlier, I'm very interested in your 8 inner gates, senpai. If we can exchange it on the spot right now." After Might Guy heard this, he was stunned. "I didn't expect this to be true." His persistent 8 inner gates have actually been recognized by this physique genius. For a time, Might Guy couldn't help but feel excited. So Might Guy looked at Kyosuke very seriously and said, "Okay, I promise to give you 8 inner gates, but there is no need for an exchange." Kyosuke is really speechless. 8 inner gates, just got it? This is too easy. Even Kyosuke couldn't help thinking, "I knew that I would go directly to Might to ask for it." But to be honest, Kyosuke was still a little moved by Might's act of handing the 8-gate shield to himself so selflessly. Therefore, although Might Guy told Kyosuke that there was no need to exchange, Kyosuke still decided to pass on the Marine 6 styles that he had just acquired. Shave to Might Guy and his son. After all, it's the way people communicate with each other. Besides, Kyosuke didn't want to owe this favor. So the heartbroken Might Guy began to teach Kyosuke his own 8 inner gates, and Might Guy on the side looked at this scene with great excitement, as if witnessing a miracle being born. The so-called 8 inner gates is to temporarily obtain powerful powers by unlocking the passages that bind chakra in the human body. The 8 gate of opening, closing, living, wounding, dumen, jingmen, and death. Strength. And the power of 8 inner gates depends on the caster himself, which is multiplied by the power of the caster himself, so different people have different powers after opening 8 inner gates. Open the 8th gate. After the gate of death, you will also die because your own life force is burned out. The premise of using 8 inner gates is unconventional, overloaded, long-term training beyond the limits. Only in this way can the various parts and organs of the body be exercised to adapt to the load after opening, and the damage to the body caused by the huge energy after opening can be minimized. Forced opening is not acceptable. Kyosuke became more and more familiar with 8 inner gates as Might Guy continued to teach Kyosuke about 8 inner gates, and to show 8 inner gates himself. "Above, that's 8 inner gates," Might Guy said, letting out a long sigh of relief. Finally, he taught the 8 inner gates to this physique genius. Kyosuke nodded. Now he has basically mastered the most powerful taijutsu in the Hokage ninja world. 8 inner gates, and next, the most important thing is to practice 8 inner gates and raise the proficiency of 8 inner gates. "Senior Might Guy, thank you." Kyosuke sincerely thanked the rough middle-aged uncle. Maybe Might doesn't know how precious 8 inner gates are, but Kyosuke does. The value of 8 inner gates is absolutely immeasurable. Kyosuke raised a little respect for Might Guy in his heart, and he was very grateful to this senior for his selfless dedication. Might Guy waved his hand and said with a smile, "It is also my honor to be able to pass on my 8 inner gates to you." The physique genius of the Uchiha family. Now that he has learned 8 inner gates, Kyosuke has not hesitated to teach the Marine 6 form to Might and his son. Although the father and son refused for a while, at Kyosuke's insistent request, they finally learned. Chapter 31. the land of wind, Sunagakure. At this time, all the senior members of Sunagakure gathered together, all frowning and worried. There are still many people who can't hold their breath again. Their faces are full of irritability, and they only need to lightly fan the flames to detonate. Now something big is happening at Sunagakure. Their third Kazekage is missing for 3 days. According to the news, when third Kazekage came home the night before, he disappeared suddenly and strangely and didn't come back until the morning. The top leader of the village suddenly disappeared. This major change instantly alerted the entire Sunagakure high level, and Sunagakure immediately sent a large number of personnel to look for it. But unfortunately, after these 3 days of searching, no clues were found at all. Their third Kazekage just evaporated out of nowhere. Sunagakure's top executive, Chiyo, looked gloomy at this time. The supreme leader, third Kazekage, had been missing for 3 days, which was undoubtedly a major blow to Sunagakure. I still haven't found any news? Chiyo said with a gloomy face. Everyone in the room was silent. The atmosphere was dignified and terrifying. Sister, there is still no clue about third Kazekage's trail. I think I can check the news from other countries, especially the country of fire. Maybe I will find out. Chiyo's younger brother Ebizo said solemnly. Every country in the ninja world has conflicts. The country of fire is adjacent to the country of wind, and during the Second Ninja War, the two countries fought fiercely, and they still have a deep hatred. The disappearance of third Kazekage cannot be ruled out that the country of fire secretly moved. It makes sense. Third Kazekage has disappeared, and the Fire Nation must have an unshirkable responsibility. Yes, that's right. Let the Fire Nation hand over third Kazekage. If they refuse to admit it, we will call directly. As soon as Ebizo's words came out, it seemed like a fuse was ignited, and those who couldn't hold their breath began to curse. Chiyodo tensed his face and said nothing, not knowing what he was thinking. When the scolding gradually calmed down, Chiyo slowly said, Ebizo, you can send additional staff to Konoha village, the land of fire, to inquire. If you find anything, please report back immediately. Also, other countries have to keep an eye on it. Yes, sister. After saying that, Ebizo immediately took action. Among the many high-level Sunagakure and elite ninjas present, a middle-aged ninja heard this. His expressionless face, his eyes could not help but flash, and instantly turned calm, as if he hadn't heard it. Konoha village, Hokage office. Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen held a cigarette stick in his hand, and said solemnly to Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and said solemnly, Orochimaru, Tsunade, Jiraiya, news just came from Sunagakure, third Kazekage disappeared, and now Sunagakure is in chaos. This sudden news, Orochimaru and the three of them couldn't help but startled. Third Kazekage disappeared? This is really incredible news. How did third Kazekage disappear? Tsunade looked puzzled. Did you find out why? There must be something wrong with the top leadership of Sunagakure missing. Sarutobi Hiruzen shook his head. No reason has been found yet, but it is estimated that... Sarutobi Hiruzen stopped when he said that, but what he was trying to convey couldn't have been clearer. The disappearance of third Kazekage probably had already happened. It's troublesome now. At this juncture, this happened to Sunagakure. Jiraiya's usually stern face became less serious, and she said with some worry, from this incident, he has seen that it is no trivial matter, and it will affect their country of fire and even the entire ninja world. After all, the land of wind and the land of fire are not far apart. Moreover, in the Second War of the Ninja World, the land of wind and the land of fire also had a tragic battle. And at this time their leader, third Kazekage, was gone. So they would definitely suspect that it was the country of fire. Finally, the country of the wind, which is jumping over the wall, is also not guaranteed to start a war. Orochimaru did not participate in the discussion for the time being and listened calmly. Third Hokage picked up his cigarette stick, took a deep puff, and let it out slowly, plumes of smoke covering his serious old face. Immediately afterwards, Sarutobi Hiruzen once again said a heavy news. According to our report in the land of Thunder Eyeliner, Cloud Shinobi Village is also about to move because of the disappearance of third Kazekage. What? After Tsunade and Jiraiya heard it, they exclaimed and couldn't believe it. The Kingdom of Thunder has always highly valued military expansion. If such a thing happened in the Kingdom of Wind, it is not impossible for the Kingdom of Thunder to take this opportunity to launch a war. At this time, Orochimaru was also shocked by the news. Orochimaru said to his teacher Sarutobi Hiruzen hoarsely, "Teacher, that means the war is about to start, right?" Finally, Is the Third Ninja World War inevitable? Chapter 32. As soon as Orochimaru said this, Hokage's office fell silent. Tsunade and Jiraiya, who were still in shock, were silent and had mixed feelings. Sarutobi Hiruzen was in a messy mood at this time. He kept picking up the cigarette stick in his hand and smoking it. The office was filled with smoke. After a long time, Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen exhaled and said slowly, "So, the three of you are summoned this time to prepare you? If this is the case, then there is no way, alas." After Sarutobi Hiruzen finished speaking, he looked down at the secret letter on his desk with a solemn expression. Orochimaru, Tsunade, Jiraiya, the three exchanged glances. Their eyes were all heavy. 8 Inner Gates Number 1. Open the door, open. As Kyosuke's voice fell, his brain's restraint on chakra was lifted, and a surge of power filled his body. However, it's not enough. Then Kyosuke continued. The second door, close the door, open. Kyosuke felt that the physical energy in his body was stimulated, and his strength became stronger. Strong. If his normal state is 1, then his current state is 2 times or 3 times as usual. Feeling the surging and majestic power filling the whole body, and the body is not restrained, Kyosuke is very satisfied, and then Kyosuke's eyes are condensed. Shave. In an instant, Kyosuke disappeared from the spot. Kyosuke, who appeared high in the sky, looked at the huge rock not far below, and shouted loudly after accumulating power on his feet. Tempest Kick. Immediately, there were violent waves in the air, and then a slashing wave came out from under Kyosuke's feet, rushing towards the huge rock below. Boom! The huge rock was shattered and collapsed in an instant, and then thick dust and smoke enveloped the collapsed rock. At this moment, the ground shook. Slowly, the dust and smoke were dispersed by the wind, and that huge rock has long since been razed to the ground. Not only that, but it has also become a huge stone pit under the rock. This sound shocked one person. That is, in Orochimaru not far away, he saw the figure in the air hit a few slashing blades, and then felt the ground shake, and the huge rock in front was instantly razed to the ground. Seeing such an amazing scene, Orochimaru couldn't help holding his breath, his eyes focused on the incomparably conspicuous figure. That's what Uchiha Kyosuke did. Really unimaginable. The sight in front of him shocked Orochimaru so much that he couldn't believe what he was seeing. It's too powerful. Kyosuke's move just now is similar to the move that Orochimaru saw Kyosuke use during the ninja school's actual combat test, but the destructive power of the two is far from comparable. In this case, there can only be 2 possibilities. One is that Kyosuke was hiding his strength at the time. The other is that Kyosuke has become stronger again. Judging by the destructive power Kyosuke caused just now, Orochimaru judged Uchiha Kyosuke's strength definitely surpasses Chunin. Orochimaru was convinced that his judgment was correct. But Kyosuke's strength is so powerful. Orochimaru, he is relieved. After all, maybe Kyosuke will go to... Kyosuke was more than satisfied with the destructive power of a single blow with the Tempest Kick with both doors wide open. Looking at it now, if I open both doors, the power of the Tempest Kick is more than double than usual. It's been 10 days since Kyosuke got 8 inner gates from Might and Sons. In 10 days, Kyosuke practiced the 8 inner gates frantically. With the pervert talent of his permanent buff, 1,000% increase in the training income of Taishu, Kyosuke was able to open the first 2 gates of the 8 inner gates. But the side effects are still too big. Kyosuke couldn't help but smile bitterly and said that he closed and opened the 2 doors, followed by a burst of pain and exhaustion all over his body. This is the after effect of opening 8 inner gates. Although the body has gained enormous strength, the corresponding physical load capacity is also very heavy. Fortunately, Kyosuke has been cultivating physique for the past few years, and his body's carrying capacity is still good. Otherwise, he would be a little too hard to bear. Kyosuke-kun. A hoarse voice came from behind Kyosuke. Oh, the Orochimaru guy finally showed up again. Kyosuke turned around, looked at his very irresponsible instructor, Orochimaru, and smiled. Yo, Orochimaru-sensei, why are you free today? Do you have a mission today? Orochimaru didn't answer Kyosuke, looked at the shocking scene of the huge rock being destroyed, and said in a hoarse voice, "Is this the real power of your own ninjutsu?" Orochimaru became Kyosuke's instructor. He didn't teach for a long time, and only came a few times occasionally, but during this period of contact, Orochimaru could feel that Kyosuke was a real physique genius, with amazing accomplishments in physique. Even Orochimaru was impressed. So much so that Orochimaru really wanted to train Kyosuke. But unfortunately, Orochimaru's knowledge of Taijutsu is not deep, and his greatest strength is in ninjutsu. So Orochimaru has limited places where he can guide Kyosuke. Chapter 33. Orochimaru's Reminder. That's right, this is what I came up with my own moves when I got Taiju a few days ago. How good is it? Kyosuke laughed. It's very powerful. Orochimaru nodded. After speaking, Orochimaru turned his head and looked at Uchiha Kyosuke. Uchiha Kyosuke, you have to prepare. There is not much time for you to practice. Kyosuke felt a little strange that Orochimaru came to talk about things seriously this time. Kyosuke asked in confusion, "What's the matter? Orochimaru-sensei, is there something important going to happen?" Kyosuke murmured in his heart. Could it be that Orochimaru was about to fight for the position of Hokage, and Konoha started to be in chaos? But the time is not right. After all, the Third Ninja World War has not yet opened, and the Hokage competition should also be after the end of the Third Ninja World War. Since this is not the case, then there is only one possibility. Third Kazekage must have been killed by Sasori of Akasa. The fuse of the Third War in the ninja world finally happened. Kyosuke guessed right, and then Orochimaru nodded. The ninja world has not been very peaceful recently. Then, Orochimaru didn't explain much, left a sentence and left directly. During this period of time, you'd better improve your strength as soon as possible, then don't die. Orochimaru's words are calm and indifferent. Looking at Orochimaru who was leaving, Kyosuke thought, it seems that the Third War in the ninja world is about to start. Kyosuke knew what Orochimaru wanted to express just now, and it was estimated that Kyosuke would also go to the battlefield at that time. Kyosuke became serious. It seems that he needs to improve his strength as soon as possible, otherwise it will be troublesome. After thinking about it, Kyosuke turned on the system. Physiotherapy yyds system host. Uchiha Kyosuke abilities. 3 body technique. Introductory. Konoha fluid technique. Proficient. Paper arts. Grandmaster. Iron body. Grandmaster. Tempest kick. Proficient. Water rock shattering fist. Proficient. Armament Haki. Introductory. Shave. Getting started. 8 inner gates. Permanent buff. Soul of Taishu. Taishu training gains increase by 1000%. Mission points. 50 points. Current main quest. None. Daily tasks. 5,000 positive punches. 5,000 deep squats. And 50 kilograms to run 20 kilometers. Mission reward. 5 mission points. Looking at the system interface in front of him, Kyosuke pondered. Today, among his physical skills, only the recently acquired shaved and armament haki is still entry level. Isn't that enough? Kyosuke said to himself, looking at the system interface. If he really went to the battlefield, the stronger his strength, the more guaranteed his safety. So, armament haki and marine 6 styles, shaved. You must increase your proficiency as soon as possible during this time. Thinking of this, Kyosuke started training without delay. The days that followed passed slowly. Ever since Orochimaru came, Kyosuke has devoted himself to cultivating Taijutsu, cultivating frantically. Every day, I get up early and go back very late. There is no time for Yorin and Hong to come out, and there is no time to make waves everywhere. War is not a joke, there are dangers at any time. Kyosuke must be fully prepared to be safe. Finally, the disappearance of Third Kazekage spread throughout the ninja world. It's almost certain that something happened to the Third Kazekage. This news undoubtedly dropped a bomb on the ninja world, and the ninja world was turbulent for a while. Major countries have taken action. The country of Lei, known as a military power, took this opportunity to immediately Qinbing's border. Although the land has no obvious actions, it is secretly beginning to be vigilant and lay out. The country of water has no action for the time being. The kingdom of wind finally couldn't bear it any longer and sent it directly. The entire ninja world was also cast in a shadow by the upcoming war. Konoha village, although it was still quiet at this time, the atmosphere in the village was invisibly tense. Because of the preparations in advance, facing this sudden third ninja war, Konoha village methodically arranged to prepare for the challenge. Hokage building, Hokage office. Here are 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo, head of the root group, 2 advisors to Konoha, Mito Kato Hamura and Udatain Koharu, Sannin Orochimaru, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and also Namikaze Minato. At this time, their faces were all surrounded by a sense of solemnity, and the atmosphere seemed heavy when a major event was imminent. The 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was wearing a red and white Hokage uniform and a Hokage hat on his head, looked extremely serious and said to everyone present, "The news came from the front that just yesterday Sand Shinobi had acted. sending 3,000 ninjas to the border of the Land of Fire. Sarutobi Hiruzen's previous conjecture was very accurate. After the third Kazekage accident, the already chaotic Kingdom of Wind suddenly attacked the Kingdom of Fire. Third Hokage's voice fell, and the atmosphere in the room became a little more solemn. Shimura Danzo, the root leader opposite Sarutobi Hiruzen, said with great determination, "Since the Kingdom of Wind dares to come, we can just fight it. Our village is afraid that they will fail." Chapter 34. Everyone has been bullied to the doorstep, and it is unreasonable to continue to tolerate it. Fortunately, Konoha village was also prepared before. Sarutobi Hiruzen took a deep breath and said, "Yes, I decided to appoint Orochimaru to handle this matter. Orochimaru, prepare to leave tomorrow. As for Tsunade and Jiraiya, the Land of Thunder and Land is a big trouble, and you need to be in charge." In fact, Sarutobi Hiruzen has already thought about this arrangement for a long time. Orochimaru had no objection to teacher Sarutobi Hiruzen's arrangement and nodded directly. Okay. Tsunade and Jiraiya also tacitly agreed. Next, Sarutobi Hiruzen went on to announce the appointment. "Minato, you are in charge of..." When everything is arranged, the meeting is over. Orochimaru exited Hokage's office when a voice stopped him in the slightly dimly lit hallway. "Orochimaru, wait a minute." Orochimaru stopped and turned to look at Shimura Danzo, who called him. "What's the matter?" Shimura Danzo, the head of the Konoha village roots, and third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen studied with second Hokage Senju Tobirama together, and they are also brothers. Although Shimura Danzo and Sarutobi Hiruzen have conflicting ideas about the way of administration, they actually belong to the Hokage faction. Orochimaru looked at Shimura Danzo in front of him. Although Danzo could be regarded as Orochimaru's uncle, Orochimaru and Shimura Danzo hardly communicated much. Danzo glanced at Orochimaru, cut to the subject and said, "Orochimaru, Uchiha Kyosuke is your student?" Uchiha Kyosuke is a student of Orochimaru, something that most people in Konoha village know, and it's intriguing to mention Danzo. In Konoha village, whoever has the deepest prejudice against the Uchiha clan must be Shimura Danzo. Influenced by second Hokage Senju Tobirama, Danzo has always been disliked by the Uchiha family. Orochimaru stared at Danzo in front of him, silent. Danzo also kept his eyes on Orochimaru. After the two were deadlocked for a while, Orochimaru said, "Danzo, what do you want to do?" Danzo's expression was serious. "That Uchiha Kyosuke, as your student, is obliged to go to the battlefield with you. Besides, Konoha is under so much pressure now, and the Uchiha family has to share some of the pressure for the village." After finishing speaking, Danzo gave Orochimaru another meaningful sentence. "Orochimaru, don't forget that you are third Hokage's disciple." The meaning of Danzo's words couldn't be more obvious. He was warning Orochimaru to keep a certain distance from the Uchiha clan, and Uchiha Kyosuke, the younger brother of the Uchiha clan chief, had better stay on the battlefield forever if he could. In fact, if possible, Danzo would like to remove the Uchiha family from Konoha. Orochimaru didn't speak any longer, staring at Shimura Danzo in front of him with cold eyes. And Shimura Danzo looked at him without showing any weakness. In the end, Orochimaru turned away with a disdainful and indifferent expression and left a sentence. "It's my business, I don't need your intervention." However, Shimura Danzo shouted at Orochimaru's back. "Orochimaru, I advise you not to have too many entanglements with the Uchiha family, otherwise don't say I didn't warn you." Orochimaru accepts Uchiha Kyosuke, the younger brother of the Uchiha clan chief, as a student, and everyone knows what it means. Apparently, Orochimaru was in the same boat as the Uchiha clan. In other words, Orochimaru chose to be opposed to the Konoha Hokage faction. But Orochimaru ignored Shimura Danzo's so-called warning. Watching the back of Orochimaru leaving, Shimura Danzo looked gloomy and terrifying. The Uchiha family is an evil family. For the peace and justice in the village, they must be eliminated. In fact, without Danzo's reminder, Orochimaru knew that if the war really broke out, he would go to the battlefield to stabilize the situation, so Kyosuke, as his student, would naturally follow him. It was inevitable, even though Kyosuke was only 9 years old. This is why Orochimaru reminded Uchiha Kyosuke before. After all, Orochimaru is in the same boat as Uchiha Fugaku, and Kyosuke is his student and Uchiha Fugaku's younger brother. So Orochimaru naturally thinks more about Kyosuke. Now, Orochimaru is a little hesitant. Should Kyosuke go to battle? After all, the brutality of the battlefield, Orochimaru, who has experienced the Second Ninja World War, has personally experienced it. Once, Orochimaru's apprentice Senjin Iwaki and his close friend Kaido Dan, Orochimaru witnessed their tragic death in front of him. To be honest, Orochimaru, who has experienced the Second Ninja World War, is tired and numb to the war that is taking place today. On the other hand, the reason why Danzo targets Uchiha Kyosuke so much is not only because Kyosuke is a member of the Uchiha clan and the younger brother of the Uchiha clan chief, but also because Danzo knows that Kyosuke has extraordinary physical talent and strength. From the results of Umbu's investigation, Danzo knew that Kyosuke was strong, at least at the level of Chunin. If we continue to let this Uchiha's physique geek develop, that's fine. Chapter 35. During this time, Danzo sent many of Umbu's men to keep an eye on Kyosuke. The extraordinary and powerful physical skills exhibited by Kyosuke's training made Danzo feel uneasy and wanted to get rid of Uchiha Kyosuke, the genius of the Uchiha clan. That's why Danzo came to Orochimaru. In fact, not only did Danzo notice that Uchiha Kyosuke is very strong, Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen also confirmed that Uchiha Kyosuke is very strong through his crystal ball and the information investigated by Umbu. And when Sarutobi Hiruzen knew the news, he didn't take action, as if he didn't know the news. In fact, this time Danzo came to question Orochimaru, although Danzo meant it, but it should contain Third Hokage's tacit approval. After all, both of their brothers and sisters are from the Hokage faction. One sings the black face, the other sings the red face, always cooperate with each other. It was inevitable for Uchiha Kyosuke to go to the battlefield, but to be on the safe side, Orochimaru decided to first find out how strong his student was, and then adjust the distribution. Now that he has reached an alliance with the Uchiha clan, Orochimaru will try his best to protect the safety of Uchiha Kyosuke, the younger brother of the Uchiha clan chief, on the battlefield. Thinking of this, Orochimaru acted. Training course. I said, Orochimaru-sensei, this time, it won't be a big deal to find me, right? Kyosuke was surprised when he saw Orochimaru, who suddenly came to the door. Just now when Kyosuke was still cultivating, Orochimaru came to him, so there must be something wrong. Orochimaru looked at Uchiha Kyosuke and said hoarsely, Uchiha Kyosuke, gather at the entrance of the village tomorrow morning and head to the border of the Land of Fire. Oh, okay. Kyosuke nodded when he heard that. Going to the border of the Fire Nation means going to the battlefield. Kyosuke was not surprised by Orochimaru's sudden announcement. On the contrary, Kyosuke's extremely calm expression surprised Orochimaru. Aren't you afraid? Orochimaru is well aware of the cruelty of war, and if he is not careful on the battlefield, he will die directly. Kyosuke shrugged his shoulders and said, I'm afraid it's useless. Can I not go? Orochimaru was silent. Kyosuke, before going to the battlefield, I want to see your true strength. Then Orochimaru said. At this moment, Kyosuke suddenly heard a clear voice in his mind. Ding! System prompt. Host triggers side quests. Fight against Orochimaru for 3 minutes and reward 500 quest points. Huh. Kyosuke was stunned when he heard that he had touched a side quest, and then looked at the quest point that rewards 500 points. Happy? So much? Kyosuke rejoiced in his heart. These 500 quest points were simply given to him. Kyosuke twisted his neck and relaxed a bit. To be honest, he also wanted to fight Orochimaru. Let's see how big the gap is between Orochimaru and the Kaga-level powerhouse. Okay. Kyosuke agreed. After so many days of training, under the blessing of Pervert's eternal buff, Soul of Taishu, the training income of Taishu is increased by 1000%. Kyosuke's strength has improved by leaps and bounds than usual. Not only can his 8 inner gates open to 2 gates, even under the crazy practice, Marine 6 styles, shaving proficiency has reached a proficient level. At this time, Kyosuke's strength can be said to be comparable to that of a special jonin. Then start now. Kyosuke didn't talk nonsense after speaking, and disappeared from the spot. Shave. Watching Kyosuke suddenly disappear, Orochimaru's eyes narrowed. This is body flicker technique? No, it shouldn't be. Orochimaru denied this conjecture. He hadn't seen the Kyosuke seal just now. Not good. Orochimaru, who was suddenly alert in his heart, felt a dangerous aura from his left front, and then Orochimaru quickly dodged to the side. Boom. Hearing a sound, the ground where Orochimaru was standing just now was smashed by Kyosuke's foot. Orochimaru-sensei, I didn't expect to react so quickly. Kyosuke laughed, looking at Orochimaru, who quickly avoided his attack. However, Kyosuke was a little vigilant in his heart. Orochimaru did just now. The reaction speed is strong, and he is indeed a Kaga-level powerhouse. Although Orochimaru majored in ninjutsu, there is no doubt that his taijutsu is also good. Otherwise, Orochimaru wouldn't have had that kind of reaction just now. Orochimaru dodged aside, a little surprised at this moment. He didn't expect Kyosuke's speed to be so fast. If it wasn't for his quick reaction, he might have been hit by Kyosuke long ago. "You're fast," Orochimaru said, looking at Kyosuke. Kyosuke didn't care when he heard it, shrugged his shoulders. "What's the use of it? You haven't avoided it yet." After saying that, Kyosuke's figure quickly disappeared from the spot. Shave. Another extremely strange and sensitive speed rushed directly in front of Orochimaru. Kyosuke quickly moved to Orochimaru's side and clenched his fist, armed, hardened. Chapter 36. Immediately, Kyosuke's black fist full of power slammed into Orochimaru. Seeing this, Orochimaru didn't dodge. He raised his hands to protect his chest and took Kyosuke's blow abruptly. But Kyosuke's punch was too domineering, causing Orochimaru's body to keep retreating, and Orochimaru's body directly hit the tree. Immediately afterwards, a bang sounded, and Orochimaru's body instantly disappeared into a cloud of mist. Looking at the Orochimaru disappearing into mist, Kyosuke felt helpless. Really bad fight. When Kyosuke attacked just now, Orochimaru had obviously reacted and used ninjutsu quickly. Kyosuke hit just one of his shadow clone Orochimaru. Then Orochimaru suddenly appeared from a tree, and he looked at Kyosuke under the tree. After the test just now, Orochimaru felt that Kyosuke was good in speed and power, and he estimated that Kyosuke's level had surpassed Chunin. Sure enough, ninjutsu is quite troublesome. Kyosuke saw Orochimaru on the tree with a worried look on his face. But then Kyosuke jumped into the air and followed the trend with another fierce attack. Tempest Kick. The dark blue slashing wave rushed towards Orochimaru standing on the tree in a swift and incomparable manner. Boom. After a loud bang, the big tree was annihilated directly by Kyosuke's Tempest Kick. Is it still not hit? Kyosuke frowned as he looked at the devastated and messy trees in front of him. I have to say, Kage-level powerhouses are powerful. A cold light suddenly shot straight at Kyosuke. Feeling the danger, Kyosuke quickly retreated. Bang! The incomparably sharp kunai shot at Kyosuke and pierced directly into the ground. Kyosuke didn't expect Orochimaru to come to in. Immediately afterwards, Kyosuke, who was retreating, suddenly felt that he was in danger. Earth style, Yellow Spring Marsh. Then Orochimaru's hoarse voice came. Kyosuke felt that the mud under his feet instantly turned into a swamp, and he slowly fell into it. This is not good. Looking at himself slowly sinking into the swamp, Kyosuke smiled wryly, and then suddenly charged up his feet. Shave! Kyosuke forcibly left the swamp in an instant. But Kyosuke, who jumped up, was facing Orochimaru, who appeared in front of him. The hidden shadow snake hand. Orochimaru suddenly stretched out his right hand, and then countless snakes appeared in his hand, rushing straight towards Kyosuke. Seeing so many snakes, Kyosuke felt a tingling in his scalp, and hurriedly controlled all his strength. Paper arts. Countless dense snakes attacked Kyosuke, but Kyosuke's body was as soft as a piece of paper, dodging and retreating as the snakes attacked. Immediately after that, Kyosuke pulled a distance away and directly used a Tempest Kick to chop the densely charged snakes into countless pieces. Without waiting for Kyosuke to relax, suddenly a few cold lights shot directly at the dead spots on Kyosuke. Oops! Kyosuke, who was too late at this time, simply did not dodge and gritted his teeth. Iron body. In an instant, his muscles swelled into strength, as if like an iron body. Touch, touch, touch. The razor-sharp kunai stabbed at Kyosuke, but what surprised Orochimaru was that the kunai hit Kyosuke with a crisp sound like an iron body colliding, sending the kunai directly to the side. However, Kyosuke was not injured by Kuwu, and he didn't have any scars on his body. This defensive power. Orochimaru couldn't help but slightly widened his eyes. Kyosuke's abnormal defense is unbelievable. Could it be with Uchiha Kyosuke that his body has been trained to be invulnerable? So scary pervert. Call. Kyosuke, who had escaped the catastrophe, let out a sigh of relief. It was really dangerous just now. Chapter 37. Thinking of Orochimaru's uninterrupted attack just now, Kyosuke couldn't help but get serious. Orochimaru pretended to hit him first, then kunai forced himself back, and then used Earth Style, Huanquanuma, to sink himself into it. The moment I expected that I would escape, and then took the opportunity to attack, it was really one after another. It has to be said that the rhythm of the battle is carried out slowly under the rhythm of the Orochimaru master. Every reaction from Kyosuke seemed to be what Orochimaru expected. Kaiosuk couldn't help but grit his teeth. It seems that his actual combat experience is still far from enough, and he needs more training. What is your move? How can the defense be so strong? Orochimaru also stopped attacking at this time, and asked in confusion. To be honest, the iron body that Kaiosuk showed just now, this super defensive move, really shocked Orochimaru. However, at this time, Kaiosuk had no plans to stop. Orochimaru-sensei, the competition has not stopped yet. At this time, Kaiosuk bullied himself and leaned in, appeared in front of Orochimaru, and shouted, "Armed hardening, Lyashian shattering fist." Armed hardened into a black fist, it rushed straight towards Orochimaru. This punch seemed to be only one punch, but it seemed to have countless punches, which were aimed straight at Orochimaru. Orochimaru's pupils shrank immediately, and at this moment he felt great danger. But now he had no time to escape. Countless fists were entwined with blue water currents, swarming like a water column. At first, Orochimaru had the ability to withstand it, but then he was directly knocked out by the countless dense fists of this thunderous force. However, Kaiosuk's attack was not over, and he continued to charge towards Orochimaru. This trick of Kaiosuk made Orochimaru have to pay attention to it. Earth style, earth flow wall. Suddenly, the ground began to vibrate, and pieces of walls rose to block Orochimaru. But that didn't stop Kaiosuk's violent fist. Boom, 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 boom. The fierce fist rain collided violently with the wall. Soon, the blocking wall collapsed because it couldn't bear the power, but new walls were constantly summoned by Orochimaru's ninjutsu, constantly blocking Kaiosuk's attack. Boom! As the last wall was smashed by Kaiosuk, who was chasing after him, wanted to attack, but at this time, the crisp sound resounded in his mind. Ding! System prompt, side quest, fight against Orochimaru for 3 minutes, complete the quest and get 500 quest points. Now that the side quest had been completed, Kaiosuk doesn't plan to continue playing. Stop fighting. Kaiosuk stopped and said. The fight with Orochimaru just now made Kaiosuk know that there is still a big gap between him and the Kage-level powerhouse. It's boring to fight again. It always feels like the opponent is sparring. Kaiosuk stopped, and so did Orochimaru. The reason why Orochimaru fought against Kaiosuk was to test the extent of Kaiosuk's true strength. But the result of the temptation surprised Orochimaru a little. Kaiosuk was no less powerful than the special Jonin, and it's the strength that burst out from pure physical skills. This? Strong. Orochimaru is satisfied with the test results, because the stronger Kaiosuk is, the more secure he is on the battlefield. Orochimaru-sensei, what do you think of my strength? Kaiosuk laughed. In fact, he didn't do his best just now, and the 8 inner gates didn't open. However, Kaiosuk reckoned that even if he opened 8 inner gates, it would be useless, and he would still be unable to beat Orochimaru. After all, the gap between Jonin and Kage-level powerhouses is too great. Good. Orochimaru just made this extremely simple evaluation. To be honest, Orochimaru was really shocked by the power of Kaiosuk's ultimate move, Armored Hardening, Flowing Water Rock Shattering Fist. At that time, Orochimaru thought that if the Earth Flow Wall could not stop it, then he could only summon Rashomon. But in the fight just now, Orochimaru was very satisfied with Kaiosuk's strength. If he was on the battlefield, with Kaiosuk's current strength, he also had a certain ability to protect himself. Orochimaru didn't need to worry too much. Don't forget to gather at the gate of the village tomorrow morning, Orochimaru said and left. Kaiosuk, going to the battlefield? He was leaving tomorrow. At this time, Kaiosuk didn't have much thought to practice. Forget it, let's go home. Kaiosuk went back early. The colorful clouds in the distant sky are as bright as blood. In the setting sun, Kaiosuk's figure was pulling the elder, and a few crows on the treetops in the distance were screaming sadly, and the atmosphere was a bit sad. I am back. Back at the home of the Uchiha tribe, Kaiosuk went straight into the house. Kaiosuk-kun, why did you come back so early today? Mikoto came out with a spoon in his hand, and asked his uncle who came back early. You must know that Kaiosuk usually doesn't come back from training until it's dark. Kaiosuk was a little absent-minded, and casually responded, well, if you have something to do tomorrow, you have to prepare in advance. After saying that, Kaiosuk went straight to the bathroom to take a shower. Forget it, just take a comfortable bath and talk about it. Kaiosuk soaked in the bathtub. His whole body was submerged in the warm and slightly hot water. The exhaustion all over his body was swept away, and he was very comfortable. Kaiosuk raised his head and squinted his eyes and thought, the Third World War in the ninja world is about to start. Although there are only signs of it now, It is estimated that some people will be busy in the future. Tomorrow go to the border of the country of fire. I can't be sure that the fight has already begun. Chapter 38. Before leaving, but it is undeniable that the battlefield is very dangerous and cruel, but it is a good place to experience and grow. Only through blood and fire can you grow up faster, and your strength can be further improved. With that in mind, Kyosuke is no longer depressed. When Kyosuke went outside after taking a shower, he heard Mikoto's voice. Kyosuke-kun, let's have dinner. Mikoto-san, I'll be here later. Kyosuke came to the table after finishing his work, and there was a sumptuous meal in front of him. But what surprised Kyosuke was that his cheap brother came back so early tonight for the first time ever. Kyosuke couldn't help but wonder, "Brother, why did you come back so early today?" How could Uchiha Fugaku not know about Kyosuke going to battle tomorrow? It was because of this that he came back from his official duties early. "Well, let's eat first." Uchiha Fugaku glanced at Kyosuke and said without mentioning anything else. A dinner ended quietly. After dinner, sister-in-law Mikoto packed up the dishes and entered the kitchen. The Kyosuke brothers had a rare gathering in the living room to chat. "Are you leaving tomorrow?" Uchiha Fugaku asked. Kyosuke nodded. "Tomorrow morning, gather at the gate of the village and prepare to leave." "Dude, did you already know?" Uchiha Fugaku was silent and did not answer. In fact, Uchiha Fugaku knew that Kyosuke was going to fight a few days ago. Upon hearing the news, Uchiha Fugaku was strongly opposed. After all, Kyosuke is only 9 years old, and Uchiha Fugaku knows that you will not be merciful on the battlefield because you are young. On the contrary, it will be more ruthless. But Uchiha Fugaku can't help it either. After all, Kyosuke is Orochimaru's student. To be honest, Uchiha Fugaku regretted letting Orochimaru be Kyosuke's instructor at this time. He was far from thinking that the war would happen. Plans never keep up with change. But the fact is, Orochimaru is going to the battlefield, and Kyosuke, his student, will definitely follow. This is the unwritten rule of Konoha, and Uchiha Fugaku has nothing to do with him. Uchiha Fugaku looked at the younger brother in front of him, his eyes full of complex love. "Remember, safety is the main thing on the battlefield. Don't think about anything else." "Okay." Kyosuke nodded. He must pay attention to safety. He is also afraid of death. "I have asked Orochimaru to take care of you," Uchiha Fugaku said. It's not that Uchiha Fugaku didn't look for Orochimaru before and wanted his younger brother not to go to the battlefield. But unfortunately, Orochimaru was also helpless about this, and he told Uchiha Fugaku 3rd Hokage in a veiled manner. And the advisory group headed by Danzo also put pressure on him. Thinking of this, Uchiha Fugaku's eyes suddenly turned cold, and 3rd Hokage and Danzo couldn't help but feel more and more unpleasant. In the end, the helpless Uchiha Fugaku had to ask Orochimaru to take more care of Kyosuke and prevent him from having an accident. Orochimaru agreed. In short, safety is the priority, don't be brave. To be honest, Kyosuke was really moved when he looked at the long-winded cheap brother. Before Kyosuke, he disliked Uchiha Fugaku's long-windedness, but this happened to reflect the cheap brother's love for him. At night, the Konoha village is brightly lit, and it seems to be a warm and harmonious scene. In an ordinary household, Kurenai Yuhi, who had eyes as charming and dazzling as rubies, was sitting at the table eating dinner with her parents. There was silence at the dining table, and the mood was not high, and the faces of Yuhi Hong and Yuhi Hong's mother could be seen with a deep worry. And the head of the family, Yuhi Hong, was eating dinner quite calmly. "Are you going to set off tomorrow morning?" Yuhi's mother, an ordinary woman, suddenly said at this time. "Yeah." Yuhi Hong nodded. At the Hokage office meeting today, 3rd Hokage sent Orochimaru to the border of the Fire Country to deal with matters. Yuhi Mako was a participant in the war, and he was leaving tomorrow. Knowing that her father was about to go to war, Hong Yuhi had no appetite, and her delicate little face was full of worry. The cruelty of war, although Kurenai Yuhi has never seen it, she understands it. "Do you have to go, father?" Hong Yuhi looked at her father worriedly. Looking at her daughter and wife who were worried about her, Yuhi Hong actually had mixed feelings in her heart, but he couldn't help it. After all, Lord Hokage arranged it himself. This was also his responsibility and had to be executed. Yuhi Hong didn't want to make this topic too heavy and said with a smile, "Don't worry, I'll be back soon, just to deal with some things on the border. Besides, you don't have to go to war. Don't worry, I will pay attention to safety." Although Yuhi Mahong's tone was quite calm and relaxed, the worry of Yuhika's mother and daughter did not diminish in the slightest. Therefore, Mako had to explain to his wife and daughter to avoid them worrying too much. The mission leader is Mr. Orochimaru, one of Sannin. So don't worry. I believe this mission will go well. Today, Orochimaru is well respected in the village and is reliable and trustworthy. It turns out that Orochimaru is leading the team, so I can feel relieved. Mako's wife was relieved when she heard that Orochimaru led the team. And when Hong heard it, she couldn't help thinking, is Orochimaru-sama leading the team? Kaiosukuen is a student of Orochimaru-sama, so why not? Chapter 39. Maybe Kaiosukuen will also go to the battlefield with Orochimaru-sama. Thinking of this, Hong became anxious and couldn't help but ask, Father, is Kaiosukuen also going to? Kaiosukuen? Hong was stunned for a moment, but did not respond for a while. Speaking of which, you also know that kid. He was in the same class as Hong at the ninja school. I remember he seems to be at the same table as Hong. Hong's wife laughed. She knew Kaiosuk and had a very good impression of Kaiosuk. She was very sensible and likable, and the child had a good relationship with her daughter. Red's tablemate? Well, I remembered Uchiha Kyosuke, that physique genius of the Uchiha clan. After being reminded by his wife, Hong just remembered. To be honest, Mako was very impressed with Kyosuke, not only because of his fame in Kyosuke's graduation practical assessment, but also because Kyosuke often sent his daughter home. That's why who is the father of the Red, is really Red, even if you don't pay attention to Kyosuke. Yes, it's that kid from Kyosuke. When he graduated, he was accepted as a student by Mr. Shimaru. He was really good. Speaking of Kyosuke, Hong Yuhi's mother couldn't help but praise her. Hong nodded. It's a pretty good child. But before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Hong anxiously. Father, is Kaiosukuen going too? Seeing her nervous daughter, Hong couldn't help being startled. She couldn't help but think more, and then said, it should be going, after all. Orochimaru-sama is his teacher after all. So that kid from Kyosuke is going too, right? Hong's mother stopped talking. At this time, Hong Yuhi, after knowing that Kyosuke was going to the battlefield, was in a mess, and his heart had already been placed on Kyosuke. When Hong thought that his father said that he was going to leave tomorrow, he couldn't hold back even more. Father, mother, I'm full. After saying that, Yuhika quickly walked off the dining table and ran to the door. Looking at such an abnormal daughter, Karina Yuhi's mother asked strangely, Hong, where are you going? It's so late. I have something to do. Don't worry, mother. I will be back soon. Hong, who hurried out the door, said to her mother. Hey, you child. Hong Yuhi's mother was a little helpless, and Yuhi Mahong watched her daughter hurried out of the house with a thoughtful expression on her face. After leaving the door, Hong ran directly to the direction of the Uchiha clan's clan. On the road, Hong, who was running fast, was panting, and his mind was full of the figure who usually had a smirk. If he hadn't accidentally heard from his father that Kyosuke was going to battle tomorrow, maybe Hong would have been kept in the dark. Thinking of this, Hong became even more worried. The small steps under his feet could not help but speed up. After dinner, Kyosuke chatted with his cheap brother for a while, and then went back to the house to rest with nothing to do. He was leaving the village tomorrow, and he had nothing to prepare for. Better go to bed earlier. Kyosuke, who was planning to date Zhou Gong's daughter early, heard Mikoto's sister-in-law calling out, Kyosuke, your friend has come to find you, my friend? Who is it? It's also late. Oh, wait, I'll come. Kyosuke was going out to see who was looking for him this evening. Could it be Hong or Lin? Kyosuke thought for a while, and thought it shouldn't. After all, the news that he was going to fight on the battlefield wasn't made public. Besides, Kyosuke was busy cultivating during this time, and he never found these two cute loli again, and they should not know about their battles. Thinking of this, Kyosuke reacted, Speaking of which, I haven't met Rin and Hong for a long time. Want to see them? Kyosuke thought about it, and let it go. Kyosuke didn't plan to tell Lin and Hong about his going to the battlefield. He felt that it was unnecessary, otherwise it would cause the two girls to worry. So Kyosuke was going to leave the village silently and talk about it later. But who was looking for him? After leaving the house, Kyosuke walked towards the gate. Looking from a distance, Kyosuke saw Hong's weak figure. Red, why are you here? Kyosuke asked strangely, but he had guessed it more or less in his heart. At this time, Hong ran in a hurry, her face flushed out of breath, and when she saw Kyosuke appearing in front of her, her breathing became heavier. She looked at Kyosuke with a red face and looked at Kyosuke. I heard you're leaving tomorrow. Is that true? Kyosuke was silent. It seems that Red knows. Kayasukuin, you? Why didn't you tell me? Seeing Kayasuke's silence, Hong couldn't help clenching her little hands. Red knows that the war is cruel, and she worries that Kayasuke may never come back. Looking at the nervous Red, to be honest, Kayasuke was really moved. He didn't expect Red to be so nervous and concerned about himself. Then Kayasuke said with a smile, "Don't worry, Hong. I'm just going out on a mission. There's nothing dangerous." "You lied. I knew from my father that you were going to the battlefield." Hong was very stubborn at this time. Looking at Hong's persistence, Kayasuke said helplessly, "Since you already know, you should also know that I cannot refuse this mission. I'm really sorry for not telling Hong, but I'm doing it for your own good. After all, I don't want you to worry about Hong." Hearing Kayasuke say that, Hong opened her mouth and didn't know how to answer. Chapter 40. Feeling lost. "Don't worry, Red." Kayasuke took a few steps forward, raised his hand and touched his reddish, smooth hair. "It's just about going to the battlefield, and I'm just helping the logistics department. There's no danger. You don't have to worry too much." Kayasuke felt it would be better to comfort the little cute loli in front of him. "Really?" Red's big ruby eyes looked at Kayasuke watery. Red looked up at himself like this. So cute. Kayasuke, who has always been immune to cute things, suddenly felt a little unbearable, and he couldn't help touching his red hair again and smiled. "Of course it's true. When did I lie to you?" Kayasuke, you often lie to me and Rin." Kayasuke. Immediately, Kayasuke was speechless and could only laugh dryly. "That's just a joke with you guys, but I never joke around on big things." "You're right, Red." When Kayasuke said this, Hong did not object. Looking at the handsome face that was so familiar that it could no longer be familiar, Hong's face couldn't help blushing, and then Hong lowered his head slightly and said in a low voice, "Kayasuke, don't worry. I will tell my father and let my father protect you." Kayasuke was a little surprised. "Hong, is your father going too?" Red's father is called Yuhi Mahong, and Kayasuke has met. "Yeah." Red nodded. "Haha, that really helped a lot, Hong. Thank you." Kayasuke agreed with a smile. At this time, Hong raised her head and looked at Kayasuke in front of her. She clenched her small fist tightly, her face turned crimson, and then as if to cheer herself up, she gathered up her courage and quickly rushed forward to kiss Kayasuke. Took a few steps back shyly. Hong, who seemed to have done something wrong, hurriedly whispered, "Kayasuke, you must pay attention to safety. I will wait for you to come back." After speaking, Hong was shy and ran away in a hurry. Looking at the little cute loli who left, Kayasuke touched his cheek and said with regret, "Oh, it's a loss. I was taken advantage of by others. If I had known that Hong was so bold, I would have taken the initiative." Kayasuke decided to wait for this mission to come back, so he would talk to this little girl well. How can you take advantage of others and take advantage of yourself? At least talk to him first. He doesn't allow it. Then, Kayasuke went back to the house. Hong ran away in a hurry, her face flushed red. Her heartbeat quickened a lot. This was the first time she had bravely expressed her feelings to Kayasuke. But remembering that Kayasuke will be leaving tomorrow, Hong Zhao's face is worried again. Should I tell Rin about Kayasuke? But Kayasuke doesn't seem to want us to worry, but I still have to go to Lin's place. Lin and Hong have a very good relationship. In this kind of matter, Hong feels that it is necessary to talk to Lin. This night is destined to be a sleepless night, whether it is the Kayasuke family, the Uchiha family, or other ninjas who are going to carry out this mission. After all, there are still a lot of things to be arranged on the battlefield. Kayasuke, who still wants to fish, is pulled out by his cheap brother again, and he carefully reminds the things to pay attention to when entering the battlefield. Time passed quickly, and a bright white began to appear in the distant sky. Konoha Village, the entrance to the village. Orochimaru, as the commander-in-chief of this mission, has already stood in front of him and commanded, and there are thousands of ninjas here who are gathering. At a glance, there are the Uchiha family, the Sarutobi family, and the Hyuga family. There are almost all the ninjas of the Konoha family. However, looking around, the most involved in the war belong to the Uchiha clan. Kayasuke greeted his cheap brother and Hong and Lin who had arrived early, and set off with the army. "Kayasuke, you must come back safely." Looking at Kayasuke's disappearing figure, Rin and Hong, who were standing in the crowd, had worried eyes. On the other side, the Uchiha clan headed by Uchiha Fugaku, they looked towards Sarutobi Hiruzen. Their attitude was not good. Uchiha Fugaku didn't even say hello and left. Although the distribution of personnel on the front line seems reasonable, there are the Uchiha clan, the Sarutobi clan, and several other big clans of Konoha. But this time, The Uchiha clan has the largest number of people on the battlefield. Moreover, 9-year-old Kyosuke, who is also the younger brother of the Uchiha patriarch, will also be on the battlefield, which is caused by the visible and invisible oppression of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo, which makes Uchiha Fugaku very angry. Third generation and Danzo teamed up to drain the power of the Uchiha clan, so it's no wonder that Uchiha Fugaku can still treat them well. In the large group, Kyosuke followed Orochimaru's side. After all, he was also Orochimaru's student, so of course he had to hold Orochimaru's thigh tightly. After all, there is a backer, and it will be easier to do things on the battlefield in the future. Teacher Orochimaru, how long does it take to get here? Kyosuke was a little bored. After all, most of the journey this time was boring. 2 or 3 days, Orochimaru said hoarsely. In fact, Orochimaru had already thought better than Kyosuke's arrangement. Orochimaru decided to come to the battlefield and arranged Kyosuke to go to a safer post, and it would be fine if he was on the front line. Before leaving last night, Uchiha Fugaku came to Orochimaru specifically for his younger brother, which made Orochimaru have to worry about Kyosuke. Chapter 41. After Uchiha Fugaku returned to the Uchiha tribe, he changed his usual practice of going to the office and returned home. At this time, Uchiha Fugaku had a gloomy face and personally sent his younger brother to the battlefield, and he was in a bad mood. Uchiha Fugaku can actually intervene to stop Kyosuke going to the battlefield, but third generation and Danzo will not let go. And the number of people who participated in the battle this time, the Uchiha clan sent the most ninjas, not to mention the Hokage faction's suppression of other rejections of their Uchiha clan. All these situations make Uchiha Fugaku very popular. Over the years, the Hokage faction has been draining the strength of their Uchiha clan for various reasons. Uchiha Fugaku is not a fool either, knowing that if Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo are allowed to continue to weaken the strength of the Uchiha clan, the Uchiha clan will sooner or later die. Uchiha Fugaku thinks it's time to think about how to compete with the Hokage faction in the future. The alliance with Orochimaru is a good route, but it is not enough. Other aspects have to be prepared. Clatter, clatter, clatter. Staring at the bamboo water utensils in the front yard, Uchiha Fugaku, who had been silent for a long time, whispered, "Third generation, since you are so chilling, I can't just sit still." On the other side, in Konoha village Danzo, in the secret base of Root, Danzo recalled the arrogant attitude of the Uchiha clan at the entrance of the village just now. His sharp eyes narrowed involuntarily, and his face showed disdain. The Uchiha family is not a good thing. I must remove this tumor in the village. In Danzo's eyes, there was a cold killing intent. After 3 days of long journey, Kyosuke finally entered the border of the Fire Nation. The border of the Land of Fire, Konoha Shinobi Base Camp. There are many ninjas in the base camp, and they all look tired at this time. Obviously, they have experienced fierce battles. Orochimaru came to Konoha's base camp and walked directly to the coach's tent camp, and Kyosuke naturally followed. Many people around looked at Kyosuke with curiosity on their faces. Who is this child who came with Orochimaru-sama? Can't be a big man? Doubts return to doubts. They all choose to watch quietly, silently. At this time, Kyosuke, who was doing nothing to look around, suddenly heard a clear voice in his mind. Ding! The main quest has begun. 3 battles to become famous. Mission Introduction. Host emerged in the 3rd battle and became famous. Quest rewards. 10 quest points for every Genin killed, 30 quest points for Chunin, 100 quest points for Jonin, and 500 quest points for Kage level. At the end of the 3 battles, another reward will be given according to the degree of host fame. Hearing the crisp sound of the system, Kyosuke came to his senses. This time it was actually the main quest, and the reward for hunting Genin, Chunin, Jonin, and Kage level. To be honest, Kyosuke is really very excited. This is simply a great opportunity to brush quest points. Just as Kyosuke was paying attention to the main quest, he and Orochimaru had already arrived in front of the coach's tent. There were guards on both sides. When they saw Orochimaru coming, they said respectfully, "Sir Orochimaru, you are here. Please come in." After he finished speaking, he pulled up the curtain and let Orochimaru in. After entering the coach's tent, Orochimaru made a series of deployments after understanding the specific situation of the current situation. At first Kyosuke was listening, but after hearing it, he got bored. It was basically nothing to him. After a long time, Orochimaru made arrangements and then looked at Kyosuke next to him. On this battlefield, Orochimaru must be guarding the base camp, and there are many things for his commander to deal with, and he will not have time to take care of Kyosuke at that time. After thinking about it, Orochimaru said, "It's really red. Here, is there something wrong with Orochimaru-sama?" Yuhimeko said respectfully when she heard Orochimaru calling herself, thinking that there was a task arrangement. "Uchiha Kyosuke is assigned to your team and will follow you on missions in the future," Orochimaru arranged in a hoarse voice. Yuhi Mahong respectfully agreed. "Yes," but Kyosuke was a little confused. "What's the situation?" Orochimaru is ready to be a hands-off shopkeeper. Again. Chapter 42. However, Kyosuke also knew that Orochimaru would not be able to walk away on this battlefield. He had to sit in the middle army, and he had no time to take Kyosuke with him to do things. Besides, with Orochimaru's irresponsible attitude, there is nothing good to do with him. Kyosuke, he has main quests to do, and he has to brush quest points on the battlefield. When he came to the battlefield, other than improving his own strength, Kyosuke didn't care too much about other things. Even so, there is still something to be said. "Orochimaru-sensei, it's not good for you to be the boss again," Kyosuke asked. "Uchiha Kyosuke, this is the battlefield. You have to obey my arrangements," Orochimaru said hoarsely. There is a reason for his arrangement. After all, Yuhi Jinhong is a veteran elite jonin. He has rich experience and can handle all kinds of things. Kyosuke is relatively safe in Yuhi Jinhong team. Moreover, Yuhi Mako's team is an intelligence force, not the main one to charge forward, so it is relatively safe. Hearing what Orochimaru said, Kyosuke shrugged indifferently. "Oh, that's optional, Orochimaru." At this moment, Yuhi Mako looked at Kyosuke in front of him curiously. With his handsome appearance and his handsome and uninhibited temperament, as a 9-year-old child, he is taller than his peers. His face is not as immature as a child, but he looks much more mature. Also, although Kyosuke was on the battlefield, he didn't show nervousness and fear, but he was still a little calm. The child in front of him was the boy his daughter had spoken of, Uchiha Kyosuke, the genius of the Uchiha clan. Thinking of this, Yuhi Mahong couldn't help but think of the night before her departure. Her daughter ran back in a hurry to ask for her. "Father, please protect Kyosuke." When the red face was blushing and said, "To be honest, it was a bit surprising that Hoyu was really red at that time." He didn't expect his daughter to do this to the Uchiha Kyosuke in front of him. That night, when Yuhi Jinhong looked at her daughter, she felt a little sour in her heart, and she felt helpless that her own cabbage was being humiliated by someone else's pig. However, he finally agreed to his daughter's request. After all, this is the first time his daughter has asked him, and now that Uchiha Kyosuke has been assigned to him, it will be easier to handle. "Let's take care of this kid in the future," Yuhi Jinhong thought to himself. The situation on the battlefield was relatively tense. After Orochimaru was deployed, everyone present left to do the mission. Kyosuke didn't receive the quest for a while, so he had to go out for a walk. 3,000 Sand Shinobi is at the border of Chunbing, and there may be a sneak attack at any time, so the atmosphere in Konoha base camp is dignified and tense. On the far side of the sky is the yellow sand Gobi, and a round of sunset is slowly setting in the west. There is the Gobi Desert in the distance, which is the border of the Land of Wind, and most of the territory of the Land of Wind is desert. The lonely smoke in the desert is straight, and the long river is setting the sun. Inexplicably, this atmosphere is a little tragic. The next day Kyosuke got up early in the morning. Near Konoha base camp, in a relatively quiet open area, Kyosuke went to complete the daily tasks of the system as usual. Although there are only 5 task points per day, it must be accumulated. After all, it is a fixed source of income. Less will make more. Otherwise, when you want to draw a lottery, you will have hope. Ding, the system prompts. The daily task is 5,000 positive punches, 5,000 deep squats, and 20 kilometers of cross-country with a 50 kilograms load. The task is completed. Get quest reward, 5 quest points, a crisp voice resounded in Uchiha Kyosuke's mind. Daily tasks are clocked in. Taking advantage of the time now, Kyosuke decided to improve his entry-level armament haki proficiency. Currently, among his physical arts, only the proficiency of masquerading haki is entry-level. Armed, hardened. As Kyosuke's voice fell, his feet were instantly covered by armament haki, and the power rose on his black feet. Armed hardening, leaf hurricane. In an instant, Kyosuke's body jumped up like a rabbit, his legs danced wildly like a whirlwind, and he kicked directly at the thick tree in front of him. Kyosuke's speed is very fast. If a normal jonin faced this attack, he would definitely not be able to react. Boom! A loud bang. Kyosuke slammed down armament haki with a savage blow, and without the slightest effort, he kicked the thick tree in front of him, and the shards flew. This move of Kyosuke, ordinary Jonin dare not easily catch. This is just an easy blow from Kyosuke's attachment to Armament Haki, and he has such powerful power. If Kyosuke is serious, the power of this move will be even stronger. Feel good. Kyosuke stood up slowly, watching the destruction in front of him. Suddenly, he paused for a while and turned to look at a jungle not far away. There are people there. Taking a closer look at the man standing not far away, more than 10 meters away, he was clearly the captain of Kyosuke's current team. Yuhi was really Red. It turned out to be Red's father. Kyosuke felt relieved when he saw that it was Hong's father. He thought it was someone from the Land of Wind who had sneaked in. "Yo, Uncle Red, it's so early." Kyosuke took the initiative to greet him. At this moment, Yuhi Mahong looked at the scene in front of him in surprise. The strength that Kyosuke showed just now was beyond his expectations. Kyosuke's body move just now was amazing. Chapter 43. Before, Yuhi Mako thought Kyosuke's strength was average, at most Chunin's level, but now, Yuhi Mako felt that she had misunderstood. The person in front of his daughter's favorite, Uchiha Kyosuke, the physique geek of the Uchiha family, his strength is more than the level of Chunin. As expected of the Uchiha family's physique geek, Yuhi Mako said, looking at Kyosuke. Forehead, with that name again, to be honest, Kyosuke felt a little numb. Uncle Jinhong has won the prize. That's just average. Kyosuke was very modest. Now Yuhi Mako knows that Kyosuke's strength is definitely not weak, so being in his team is easier to deal with. After all, if the strength is too weak, it will drag down the overall strength of his team, and it is not easy to carry out the task. At this time, Yuhi Mako couldn't help but feel a little curious about Kyosuke. After all, being able to make her own daughter take it so seriously, and even begging herself to protect him at all costs, made Yuhi Mako have to know too much about Kyosuke. After digging up the watery cabbage in my own house, Yuhi is really Red, but there is still a grudge. Kyosuke-kun, I heard that you also created your own physique moves. Can you use them if you can? Yuhi Jinhong asked curiously. Kyosuke is speechless. What's the situation? It's definitely impossible to use it. Kyosuke is also afraid of trouble, and besides, he doesn't know what Yuhi Mahong is looking for himself. Kyosuke laughed and said, Uncle Jinhong, in fact, my physical skills are very general, so I definitely can't get into your eyes. Hey, by the way, does Uncle Jinhong have something to do with me? Kyosuke's words made Yuhi Jinhong realize that he did have something to ask for Kyosuke, but just now he was amazed by Kyosuke's novel physique moves. Today our team has a mission to perform, and we will gather at Orochimaru-sama to collect the mission and follow the arrangement. Yuhi Mako said to Kyosuke. Have a mission? Kyosuke was curious and interested. Not to mention that he still has to take this to see if he can get a mission point. Besides, this is his first mission in history. Before Orochimaru was his teacher, he just let it go, and he didn't even arrange a D-level mission. Of course Kyosuke didn't bother to do it either. Oh, alright, I'll go over in a moment. Yuhi Mako took a deep look at Kyosuke, and he had a vague feeling that the Uchiha family's physique geek in front of him would definitely perform amazingly in the future. Kyosuke came to the coach's tent at Konoha Base Camp. Orochimaru was already here early, studying the situation and deploying tactics. Mr. Orochimaru, I heard that this time there is a mission. It's really rare. Kyosuke greeted Orochimaru with a smile, without the slightest awareness that he should be a subordinate. Orochimaru glanced at Kyosuke, and there was a bit of hesitation on his expressionless indifference, but he didn't say anything. After a while, Mako Yuhi led his team to Orochimaru to report. Yuhi Mako's team consists of a total of 7 members, and he leads 6 people as an elite jonin, one of which is a medical ninja. Sir Orochimaru, Yuhi Mako respectfully said to Orochimaru. Orochimaru glanced at Yuhi's real Red and nodded. At this time, Mako Yuhi's 6 subordinates looked at Uchiha Kyosuke, who was sitting on the side with curiosity and disdain in their eyes. Yesterday, they heard Yuhi Mako say that the team wants to join one person, a 9-year-old child. 9-year-old kid? They immediately thought of the child who set out with the unit and was next to Orochimaru-sama. I heard that he was still a student of Orochimaru-sama. He was a physique geek of the Uchiha family, and he was very powerful. But despite this, they were also disdainful in their hearts. No matter how strong a child is, the most powerful one is the level of Chunin. What effect can it have? Although the weakest member of their team is Chunin, that member is an indispensable medical ninja in the team. What's more, this kid is young and must have little actual combat experience. Therefore, this kid who was literally stuffed into their team must be a dragging oil bottle. At this time, they looked at Kyosuke. Their eyes were not very friendly, even disgusting. If there is a burden in a team, it will undoubtedly increase their difficulties and drag them down when performing tasks. At that time, it was undoubtedly a disaster for the entire team. Several people looked at themselves with unkind eyes. Kyosuke looked at them, but didn't take them seriously. Are you not satisfied? Think you are weak? This is not a problem. I will have the opportunity to refresh your 3 views in the future. Really, Red, your mission this time is very important. I want you to sneak into the Land of Wind and connect with the people lurking in Sunagakure, Sand Shinobi's layout plan at the border, and their current situation in the Land of Wind. I have to understand all these information. It's here. Orochimaru's tone was serious. Although he knew that Sunagakure had sent thousands of ninjas around here, Orochimaru didn't know much about their base camp, specific combat arrangements, trends, and the situation in their own country. On the battlefield, intelligence is very important, a vital intelligence, and even affects the success or failure of a war. For Orochimaru, who had gone through the Second Ninja World War, he valued information very seriously. Chapter 44. Yes, Orochimaru-sama, Yuhi Jinhong, who realized the importance of this mission, was extremely serious. Their team record belongs to the intelligence team, and their main task is to collect battlefield-related intelligence. This is the content of your mission this time. Take a look at it. Orochimaru handed the document to Yuhi Mahong. Yuhi Jinhong looked at the document and couldn't help frowning. The task this time is not simple. It is necessary to go deep into a place called Sand Dune Valley in the Land of Wind and connect with the eyeliner installed in the Land of Wind to obtain information. Dune Valley, this place Yuhi really knows, is close to the central area of the country of Wind, and if you want to connect here, undoubtedly the difficulties are enormous and fraught with danger. After all, the further you go into the Land of Winds, the more likely you are to be discovered by Sand Shinobi. And Yuhi is really Red. As a captain, he must be more vigilant and attentive, and there must be no mistakes. If they are exposed, then their squad will be wiped out. When Kyosuke heard that he was going to infiltrate the Land of Wind to obtain information, his heart moved. The mission this time is very important, and it is very likely that you will encounter ninjas from the Land of Wind. Isn't this a great opportunity to hunt down and obtain mission points by himself? Kyosuke can also make his name as Uchiha Kyosuke by performing this mission. After learning about the specific task, Mako Yuhi and his subordinates began to prepare to carry out the task. Kyosuke also followed Yuhi, and he is now a member of the team. But, wait a minute. Orochimaru stopped Yuhi Mako and the others. Yuhi Mako thought that Orochimaru still had something to explain. Sir Orochimaru, is there anything else to explain? Orochimaru looked at Kyosuke, who was about to go on a mission with Yuhi Mako with a complicated face, and finally made a decision. Uchiha Kyosuke, stay. You don't have to go on this mission, you have other missions to complete. With Kyosuke's current Jonin strength, he could actually carry out this mission, but Orochimaru still decided not to let Kyosuke take this risk. If something happened to Kyosuke at that time, Orochimaru would not be able to explain to Uchiha Fugaku. After all, Kyosuke was about his alliance with the Uchiha clan, and Orochimaru didn't want to make a mess. Don't let Uchiha Kyosuke take part in this mission? Hearing Orochimaru's words, Yuhi Mako couldn't help but be taken aback. Yuhi Mako looked at Kyosuke next to him in surprise, but he didn't expect that the person his daughter liked would make Orochimaru-sama care so much, and he still looked down on him before. Since Orochimaru-sama wanted to protect Kyosuke, this was also in Yuhi's heart. After all, this mission needs to go deep into the country of Wind, which is too dangerous. Okay, Orochimaru-sama. Yuhi Mako took a deep look at Kyosuke, and then said, Uchiha Kyosuke, your mission is temporarily cancelled. The 6 members of Yuhi's Red Squad glanced at Kyosuke with strange expressions. They didn't expect the child in front of them to be able to make Orochimaru-sama do so much, and their hearts suddenly felt unbalanced. Unable to help, they looked down on the newly added player even more. Although Orochimaru's intentions were good, Kyosuke was dumbfounded. He still wants to do some quest points and build his reputation in this mission. Orochimaru's intervention, isn't this hindering his plan? This can't be done. So Kyosuke immediately objected. Hey, Mr. Orochimaru, yesterday you said that after I was assigned to Uncle True Red's team, I had to go on a mission with my teammates. Why did I suddenly change my mind? This is not good. Since I am already a member of the team, I have the responsibility for this mission, and I must participate. Kyosuke was very firm and said to Orochimaru. Kyosuke's stubborn behavior. Orochimaru was a little surprised. He didn't expect Kyosuke to refuse, and he was a little dissatisfied. This kid Kyosuke knows how to fight with him. Doesn't he understand why he does this? Orochimaru suddenly felt a little tired. This kid really doesn't make people worry. So, Orochimaru did not agree to Kyosuke and continued, Uchiha Kyosuke, I already said that you don't need to participate in this mission, you have other missions to go. But before Orochimaru could finish speaking, Kyosuke suddenly had a very kind and righteous expression on his face, and immediately interrupted him. Teacher Orochimaru, you don't need to say more, this mission, I have decided to participate. Uchiha Kyosuke can't do it to avoid responsibility. Kyosuke's voice was powerful, and he looked at Orochimaru with a firm expression. Besides, when Kyosuke said this, he glanced at Orochimaru again, with a hint of disappointment in his words. Teacher Orochimaru, if you do this, I think you are an unqualified commander. Hey, Orochimaru-sensei, to be honest, I'm disappointed in you. Orochimaru was taken aback by Kyosuke's words. He didn't expect Kyosuke to express such a position, and then Orochimaru frowned. Is he Orochimaru not a qualified commander? Is this kid Kyosuke denying him? Even his buddies Jiraiya, Senju Tsunade, and even his teacher Third Hokage dared not say that. This kid, it really sucks. However, since Kyosuke's attitude was so firm, Orochimaru could not refute it. Thinking that Kyosuke has the strength of Jonin, and Yuhi Mako is also a veteran elite Jonin, so he is experienced and relieved, and this mission can also be performed by Kyosuke. In the end, Orochimaru nodded in agreement. Yes. Immediately, Orochimaru turned his head to look at Yui Mako. Mako, please take care of Kyosuke. It's his first mission, and he has no experience. Orochimaru simply pointed out the words directly and asked Yuhi Mako to take care of Kyosuke. In fact, even if Orochimaru didn't say so, Yuhi Mako had to take care of Kyosuke more. After all, he agreed to his daughter's request no matter what. Chapter 45. Don't worry, Orochimaru-sama, I will definitely. Yuhi really agreed. The 6 members of the team had some changes in their attitude towards Kyosuke. They didn't expect that this kid would still be responsible. However, in their hearts, they still disapprove of Kyosuke following them on their mission, because this kid is still a big drag on them, a burden. Outside the coach's tent at Konoha Base Camp, Yuhi really blushed to Kyosuke-7 and said, You all heard it just now. This time our mission is to sneak into the country of wind and meet the eyeliner. The mission is very dangerous. Give you some time to prepare as soon as possible, and we will set off immediately. Remember, this mission is very important to us, and we can't make the slightest mistake. You know that. Yuhi Mahong said sternly. The success or failure of their mission this time is directly related to the situation on the next battlefield. Therefore, the success of this mission is crucial. Captain, don't worry, we are all ready. Yes, we will wait for your command, Captain. That's right. There were 6 people in the team, and they were ready when Yuhi Mako called them. The preparation for the ninja to go out to perform the mission is just to bring more kunai, shuriken, 1,000 books, and other weapons, equipment, scrolls, explosive charms, emergency medical items, military food pills, and the like. For Kyosuke, who is mainly in physical skills, there is no need to prepare too much. As long as he is present, it is basically enough. Besides, don't forget that he is the young master of the Uchiha family, and Kyosuke has all these things in his ninja bag. Although Kyosuke thought so, some people couldn't help but come out to find fault. The young man who seemed to be in his 20s stood up and said to Yuhi Jinhong in a bad tone, Captain, we are ready, but I don't know if this kid is ready, but it can't be because he is holding our team back. As soon as those words came out, everyone's attention was focused on Kyosuke. As a result, the other 5 also looked at Kyosuke with bad eyes. In their opinion, Kyosuke was the fuel bottle in their team, a burden to perform the task. Kyosuke, are you ready? If not, prepare as soon as possible and gather here later. Yuhi Mako looked towards Kyosuke, but the requirements for Kyosuke were not so strict. Kyosuke shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile, Don't worry, Uncle Jinhong. I have already prepared everything that should be prepared, and I can go now. Yuhi Jinhong nodded, and Kyosuke said this relieved him a lot. Immediately, Yuhi Jinhong turned around, looked at the 7 people in the team with awe and said, Before performing the task, let me explain one thing. Uchiha Kyosuke is a member of our team. Since everyone is a teammate, we must learn to be tolerant and lenient and support each other. This is also for better mission execution. Do you understand what I mean? Hearing Yuhi's words, the 6 team members looked at each other and then nodded. Understood, Captain. Don't worry, Captain. We will definitely pay attention. These 6 people spoke in succession, expressing their attitudes. Yuhi Jinhong was more satisfied after hearing this and felt relieved. If teammates in the team did not cooperate with each other, disagreed with each other, and argued with each other. It would be the most deadly, especially during the execution of tasks. Although the time is tight, everyone is in the same team, so we still need to get to know each other. Kyosuke, please introduce yourself first. Yuhi Mahong looked at Kyosuke on the side and said. Kyosuke suddenly felt that the scene was a bit like a sorting ceremony, rather than Orochimaru's perfunctory. It seems that Red's father is more reliable. Although these 6 people didn't like to see him, Kyosuke felt that Hong's father was very good. Kyosuke introduced himself with a smile. Uchiha Kyosuke, I just graduated from the ninja school. The teacher is Orochimaru. I didn't perform the previous mission. I hope to give more advice in the future. This kid has never performed a single mission? Isn't this a rookie of a rookie? Hearing Kyosuke's unusual introduction, the 6 couldn't help frowning even more and despised Kyosuke even more. But at this time, it was not easy for them to brush Yui's really red face. Bingsheng is heavy. The young man who stood up to Kyosuke in a bad tone just now introduced. Kyosuke glanced at him. Yo, quite arrogant. Hello bro. My name is Yamamoto Zhanghe. My name is Nakamura once. Welcome to join our team. My name is... Kyosuke briefly met with the 6 of them separately, and it was considered an acquaintance. Yuhi Mako looked at Kyosuke and the others, and then continued, I'll give you half an hour to prepare, and we'll leave immediately after half an hour. It's the captain. Chapter 46. Half an hour later. The 8 members of the team were all ready, so they left Konoha base camp. The vast desert, the scorching sun is in the sky, and the earth is scorching. Although the land of winds is vast, most of them are deserts, and the amount of precipitation in a year is also pitiful and arid. The people here live in oases in the desert and build tribes. Since Kyosuke and the others sneaked in, not only had to face the threat of being discovered, but also had to face the extremely hot weather. Coming here was as uncomfortable as being in a furnace. Kyosuke and his party formed an effective action group, led by Yuhi Mahong. Kyosuke and the team's only medical ninja were protected to the middle, and those with good strength were in the back. Due to the need to go deep into the interior of the country of wind, Yuhi Mako had planned before starting the operation. Starting at night, hiding as much as possible during the day, and adjusting and resting. Kyosuke and the others were resting in the half-bare cave under the scorching sun. Goo goo. The few team members who were scorching hot took a big mouthful of water and poured it. Kyosuke also drank a little water and ate some food by the way. He couldn't help but complain about the country of the Valley of the Wind. This ghost place of his is also strange, tossing people. Compared with the country of fire, the country of wind is like hell, and the country of fire is heaven. The land of the country of fire is fertile, and the forest coverage area is extremely vast, and almost the whole country is covered with forests. On the other hand, the land of winds is almost all desert, with few oases. This is also one of the reasons why the land of wind has been thinking about invading the land of fire. Their living conditions are too harsh. At this moment, Yuhi Mako was studying the map carefully. Kyosuke 8 people travel at night and rest during the day, so their speed is not very fast. In the past 2 days, they have reached the inland area of the land of the wind. Looking at Yuhi Mahong, who was studying the map, Kyosuke thought about it and walked forward. Uncle Mahong, when will we reach our destination? Almost. Yuhi Mako stared at the map in his hand and replied, based on our current progress, starting in the afternoon, it is estimated that at midnight this evening, we will be able to reach our destination. Will you be able to arrive tonight? That would be less of a crime. Hearing this, Kyosuke couldn't help but move. Finally, the most important moment of this mission has come. After the other 6 team members heard Yuhi Mako say that they can arrive tonight, a look of joy appeared on their unbearable faces scorched by the hot weather. The Dune Valley is almost here. The ghost weather in the land of winds is really tormenting. However, Kyosuke's expression darkened slightly. Since the goal is almost reached, the next step is undoubtedly more dangerous, so they must be more careful and vigilant. Mako Yuhi, who was experienced in the mission, had already realized this, so he faced Kyosuke and the others with a serious expression. You have already understood the importance of this mission. The mission can only be successful and not allowed to fail. So, from now on, you have to work hard. Seeing Yuhi Jinhong's serious appearance, the 6 team members also said solemnly, don't worry, Captain, we will definitely, even if I have to sacrifice my life, I must succeed in the mission. The 6 members pledged and showed fearless devotion on their faces, which made Kyosuke feel a little better about them. These 6 members still despise Kyosuke, but the 2 days together, the group has been peaceful. If you say something stupid, nothing will happen. We will definitely complete the mission and go back. Looking at the subordinates who saw death like a home in front of him, Yui Jinhong was moved and couldn't help but reprimanded him. This topic is too heavy. It is inconvenient to say more. Yui Jinhong wanted to ease the heavy atmosphere and smiled at Bingxing Shigu, who had sworn to death and promised to complete the task. Chengwu, you can't die. If you die, who will inherit your family? I'm still waiting for your wedding wine. Bingxing Shigu blushed a little when Yui Jinhong said that. He couldn't help scratching the back of his head and smiled naively. Captain, stop laughing at me. I don't have a girlfriend yet. Chengwu, your boss is not too young. This is not good. After this task is completed, you must find a girlfriend as soon as possible, or you will have to be a bachelor, Yui Mako said, and then glanced at Kyosuke next to him, his tone slightly sour. Unlike so-and-so, although he is very young, he is chasing girls. Hey. After speaking, Yui Jinhong couldn't help shaking her head and sighing, showing a look of chagrin. Who was Yui Mahong referring to? These 6 people couldn't understand, and some said in a daze, Captain, who are you talking about? Could it be that the captain said Yamamoto? Yamamoto immediately denied it. Impossible, like Chengwu. I don't have a girlfriend yet, and my mother is single. Bingxing Chengwu. Nakamura once. Other people. Seeing Yui Mahong's vague gaze drifting towards Kyosuke, Kyosuke looked stunned. What's the situation? Could it be that Uncle Red was referring to himself? Kyosuke was a little speechless. I was very simple, and I didn't do anything to your daughter. Just holding hands at most. Besides, I lost a lot of money and was taken advantage of by your daughter's sneak attack. Chapter 47. Yamamoto was active in the team, and when he heard the Captain Yui Mako say that he was very young, he couldn't help but think of Kyosuke. Captain, are you talking about the Kyosuke brothers? Yamamoto looked at Kyosuke strangely. Yui Jinhong glanced at Kyosuke, but didn't say anything, but it seemed that he acquiesced. Kyosuke. Okay, Kyosuke, I didn't expect you to have a girlfriend at your age. Damn, you kid. I'm really envious. When Yamanaka village heard it, he patted Kyosuke on the shoulder with envy. When the others heard it, their ears perked up, and they all looked at Kyosuke absent-mindedly. After these 2 days of getting along, they were able to talk more or less, make fun of each other, or else the trip would be too boring. Being pointed out by Hong's father intentionally, Kyosuke was a little embarrassed, so he had no choice but to pretend to cough a few times and explain. Don't talk nonsense. I don't have a girlfriend yet. I tell you that I don't have anything out of nothing. If I can't find a girlfriend then, your responsibility will be great. Red's father was here, and Kyosuke didn't dare to say it outright, so he forced himself to explain it to himself. Come on, Kyosuke, you are so handsome. You must be popular with many girls at school. Come on, tell everyone. Cough. Everyone said that I am a very pure person, and I'm more single than you are. Midnight. Dune Valley. There was a chill in the night. A bright moon hung high, and the cold moonlight shone on the vast desert. After a long night's trek, Kyosuke, Yui Mako, and other 8 people finally came to their destination, Sand Dune Valley. Uncle Makura, the agreement is to meet here, right? Kyosuke asked Yui Makura. At this time, Kyosuke and the others were in a huge canyon, which led straight to the front, with alpine rocks on the left and right sides. Such a location can also be said to be a fortress, which is very dangerous. If the enemy ambushed in front of and behind this canyon, they will be surrounded and wiped out. Yui Jinhong nodded. Yes, according to the agreement, it is almost at this point in time. After Bingxing Zhongwu and other 6 people came here, they all played up the spirit of 12 points and looked around with extreme vigilance. The silence in the canyon is a bit too quiet, and I can only hear the chirping of insects from far and near. At this point, Kyosuke couldn't help frowning. Although this place was said to be a good place for handovers, it would be difficult if they were ambushed. I hope he thinks more about it, and Kyosuke can only think so in his heart. Chengwu, Nakamura, the 2 of you go to the surrounding area to check. Yui Jinhong instructed them both. At this crucial juncture, they must be more vigilant and pay attention to the surrounding situation at all times. Yes, Captain. Yes, Captain. After speaking, the 2 went to the surrounding area to check. At this time, the atmosphere of the team became more and more tense. Everyone present was silent, all waiting quietly, waiting for the eyeliner who was lying in ambush in Shine Village. After waiting for a long time, someone finally came. Really, Red? You are finally here. In a shadow in front of the canyon, under the cold moonlight, a figure slowly appeared in front of Kyosuke and the others. This person has a forehead protector in Shine Village, and his appearance looks very inconspicuous. At first glance, he looks like a passerby. This person is the spy that Konoha planted in Sunagakure. There is nothing special about his appearance. Maybe it is because of this ordinary person's face that it is easier to act as a spy, and this person can call Yuhi Mahong's name. It seems that the two know each other. After waiting for a long time, seeing the figure that finally appeared, Yuhi Jinhong couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, and a smile appeared on her nervous face for a long time. "Ito, I've been waiting for you." The ordinary-looking Ito showed an apologetic smile and said, "I'm so sorry. San Shinobi Village is more troublesome. I have to be extra careful not to be discovered by them, so it took a little more time." "It's okay. Just be more careful." Ito took out a few scrolls directly from his body and solemnly handed them over to Yui Mahong. "I have recorded everything that Orochimaru wants to know on the scroll. It's really read. You can just hand it over to Orochimaru." Ito was in ambush in Sunagakure as a spy, and it was very difficult to obtain this information. Yui Jinhong solemnly collected these scrolls and said, "Don't worry, I will definitely hand it over to Master Orochimaru." The importance of these scrolls is self-evident. Looking at the old friend in front of him, who has been lurking in this sand ninja village for many years now, Yui Jinhong couldn't help feeling emotional and patted Ito on the shoulder. "Ito, it's really hard for you. The village will not forget you." Ito smiled, shook his head and said firmly, "It's nothing. For the village, for Lord Hokage, I'm even willing to give my life." Kyosuke had some admiration for the spy lurking in Sunagakure just now, but after hearing what he said, Kyosuke pouted. "Come on, another poor guy fooled by third Hokage." For third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, and Kyosuke were genuinely disgusted by his hypocritical face and demagogic style. Chapter 48. After the mission is completed, let's go back to the village and have a good drink, Yuhimeko said to Ito with a smile. There was some anticipation in Ito's eyes. "Then I really look forward to that day." Inadvertently, Ito noticed Uchiha Kyosuke and felt a little surprised. Will a child be sent to participate in this mission? For a while, Ito became curious about Kyosuke and couldn't help but ask Yui Mahong, "Really, Red, why? Are you not enough for this mission? Send this kid here." Kyosuke. Speechless, Kyosuke directly ignored the passerby. Yuhimeko glanced at Kyosuke next to him and smiled. "Ito, don't underestimate Kyosuke-kun. He is very strong. Also, he is also a student of Orochimaru-sama." "A student of Orochimaru-sama?" Hearing this, Ito couldn't help squinting. He didn't expect this inconspicuous child to be a simple master. However, after he paid attention to Kyosuke a little, he didn't care too much. The task is the main thing, and we have to rush back next time, so let's say goodbye. Yuhi Mahong and her friend chatted for a while, and then decided to go back immediately. Yuhimeko is worried that things will change later. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. However, the worrying thing finally happened. Just as Yuhimeko was about to leave, suddenly, Bingxing Shige, who had been sent out to patrol the detective, came in a hurry. "Chungwu, what happened?" Looking at Chungwu, who came back in a hurry, Yuhi Jinhong suddenly felt bad. "Did the thing you worry about really happen?" "Sure enough, not as you really read expected," Chungwu hurriedly replied. "It's not good, Captain, we exposed. The people from San Shinobi Village are here." Hearing San Shinobi coming, everyone present changed color. However, there is one exception. At this time, Kyosuke's eyes flashed with excitement. It seems that the time for him to open has finally arrived. The past few days are all in a hurry, and there is basically nothing to do. Hearing this news, Kyosuke became more and more excited, feeling that there were a lot of quest points waving to him. At this time, Ito's face changed dramatically. "Oops, my whereabouts must have been exposed. Damn it." The sudden attack of San Shinobi must have been the discovery of Ito's spy's identity. At this time of sudden danger, Yuhi Jinhong is indeed a seasoned elite jonin, maintaining a calm tone, saying, "Now is not the time to be tangled. All hurry up and prepare for battle." What Yuhimeko was worried about still happened, but now there is no way out. He can only face it. After a while, sure enough, people from San Shinobi Village slowly appeared in front of Kyosuke and the others. A middle-aged man headed in front, followed by 7 San Shinobi behind him, stopped Kyosuke and others. The middle-aged man at the head looked at Konoha Village's spy, Ito, with an extremely gloomy expression on his face, gritted his teeth and said, "Sure enough, Ito, you are the spy sent by Konoha Village." Ito has been lurking in their Sunagakure for several years, and must have passed back a lot of information about their village to Konoha village, which, how not to make him angry? Seeing the middle-aged man in front of him, Ito's face was a little ugly. Near human? Ito didn't expect it to be him, which is difficult. After confirming that Ito was a spy, Jinyuamen's face was extremely ugly and angry. He did not expect that the people of Konoha Shinobi Village would be so despicable and shameless. Everyone in Konoha should be damned. Then he ordered his subordinates. Wait, don't let anyone hear. Kill them all. Yes, Nirman-sama. There were only 8 people in front of Sand Shinobi, and Mako Yui breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there were not many people coming from Sunagakure. If Ito was added to their side, the number of people had an advantage. Even so, Mako Yui knew that Sand Shinobi and the others could not be underestimated. After all, this was their territory, and they had to get rid of the trouble as soon as possible, or it would be worse if it dragged on. But at this time, Jing Ito suddenly reminded Yui Mahong. Really Red, be careful, this Niriman is very strong. He is elite Jonin. Hearing this, Yu Hijinhong's expression became even more solemn. It's going to be an extremely difficult fight, and he's prepared for the worst. Looking at Kyosuke and the others who were still trying to resist, Kinemon sneered. Do you think we are the only people here? Ridiculous. Come out to me. When Kinemon's voice fell, another group of people suddenly appeared behind Kyosuke and the others, and it was Sunagakure's people. At this time, the situation was just as Kyosuke had worried before, and they were surrounded by Sunagakure's men from the front and back, and now they didn't even have the chance to escape. Seeing the people behind Sunagakure, Mako Yuhi and Ito's expressions changed dramatically. Now they are completely surrounded by the other party making dumplings, and they can't escape even if they want to escape. Yui's face was extremely pale. He was completely unable to control the situation in front of him. Chapter 49. If there was only one team of Sand Shinobi, they would still have an advantage, but this time Sand Shinobi had another team, and the gap in numbers was huge. Compared with Sand Shinobi, Kyosuke not only has twice the number, not to mention Sand Shinobi has another elite Jonin. Go on, kill them all, save none. After Jaimin finished speaking, he rushed forward, and then Sand Shinobi's 2 teams attacked back and forth. The battle started in an instant. He handed it to me, be careful. Yuhi Mako looked at Kinemon who was rushing up, kept calm and faced Kyosuke and the others, and then won over Kinemon without any fear. The situation at this time is very serious and it is very unfavorable for them, but they have to face it. Konoha's spy, Ito, was also unequivocal, fighting against the elite Jonin from the Sand Shinobi team who had just arrived. But Ito is just Jonin, and he suffers in battle. At this time, 2 Chunins from Sand Shinobi's side saw that Kyosuke was a child. They thought it was a soft persimmon, and killed Kyosuke directly. Yo, points are coming. Looking at Sand Shinobi rushing forward, Kyosuke's eyes shone like a fortune-telling fan, and he acted unequivocally. Shave. Kyosuke disappeared directly from the spot and rushed towards the 2 Sand Shinobi who were pinching him like a soft persimmon. The 2 Sand Shinobi looked at Kyosuke who was still in front of them, and in the blink of an eye, his figure disappeared, and they couldn't help but stunned. Where's that kid gone? Before they could react, Kyosuke's excited voice suddenly sounded like a fruit harvesting. 60 mission points, get it? The words fell, and a ghostly figure appeared in front of the 2 Sand Shinobi. Then, Kyosuke with kunai in his hand swiped directly at their necks. There is no resistance at all, but it is extremely easy and silky like cutting paper. The 2 Sand Shinobi's eyes widened in horror as they watched Kyosuke slit their necks in remorse. Blood slowly spilled from their necks. Ho! Ho ho! The 2 Sand Shinobi in front of them, clutching their bloody necks, could not make a sound, looked at Kyosuke in horror and powerless, and fell down. There was no uncomfortable emotion on Kyosuke's face in this horrific and bloody scene. This is his first murder. But it doesn't feel much different from killing a chicken and bleeding it. After finishing the 2 Sand Shinobi in an instant, a clear voice also came from Kyosuke's mind. Ding. The host hunts 2 Chunins and gets 60 quest points. Looking at the 2 fallen corpses in front of him, Kyosuke's eyes became more and more excited when he heard the 60 quest point reminder in his mind. 60 task points, easy to get. It seems that this time it is not in vain. After that, Kyosuke stared at the people in Sunagakure, his face unconcealed with the naked, drooling expression. These are all mission points, and none of them can be missed. And those Sand Shinobi who were stared at by Kyosuke couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts, feeling that in the eyes of this child, they were like prey without any resistance at all. And Kyosuke, he is the hunter. On the other hand, Kanemon, who was fighting Yuhi, saw the inconspicuous Kyosuke and instantly knocked out 2 of their Chunin subordinates. Kinemon was startled, and a look of anger appeared on his face. He didn't expect that the child's strength was so strong. It seemed that they were careless. That kid, damn. When 2 of his subordinates were killed by Kyosuke, Kinemon was very distressed and angry, and at this time, a flaw was revealed. Yuhi also noticed the battle at Kyosuke, and saw Kyosuke dealt with the 2 sand shinobi without any effort, and his face couldn't help but be happy. Sure enough, I felt right, Kyosuke was strong and reliable. But at this time, he couldn't tolerate Yuhi Jinhong thinking too much. Taking advantage of this time near Yumin, how could Yuhi Jinhong let go of this good opportunity? Soon, Yuhi quickly bullied herself forward and took advantage of this opportunity to attack Jinmin. Hateful. Suddenly being caught off guard by Mako Yuhi, Kanemon didn't have time to pay too much attention to the battle at Kyosuke and had to fight the powerful enemy in front of him seriously. On the other side, Shigeo, Nakamura, and the others, who were fighting Sand Shinobi, could not help but their eyes lit up when they saw Kyosuke ended the 2 Sand Shinobi very quickly. The originally low morale disappeared, and it became more and more full of fighting spirit. For a time, despite facing a numerical disadvantage, Kyosuke's team could barely resist. What? When Kanemon saw that there were twice as many people on his side as they were, and he couldn't take them down, he couldn't help being angry. He was determined to clean up the arrogant Kyosuke immediately, but Yuhi was pestering him and couldn't walk away. Damn, you Konoha people, don't underestimate our Sunagakure, don't be too arrogant. When Jinmin saw this scene, he felt that it would be more unfavorable for them to drag on, so he retreated directly, not having too much entanglement with Yuhi Mahong, and then quickly formed the seal, Secret of Ninja Ash. 7 people from the left door? Immediately afterwards, under Yuhi Mahong's gaze, 7 puppets were summoned from the front of Iman. These 7 puppets had different expressions, with bull heads, horse faces, and other appearances. They were all wrapped in white clothes and appeared beside Iman. A puppet? Yuhi Jinhong's face became serious. Sand Shinobi is especially good at puppet technique. This puppet is very difficult to handle, and there are 7 of them. Kyosuke also noticed Mako Yuhi fighting with the elite jonin named Kinemon, and saw Sand Shinobi summon 7 puppets. Kyosuke couldn't help complaining. I really like this Sand Shinobi. Do you always want to win by numbers? Chapter 50. Just know that it is insidious and despicable enough to play more and less. But I have to say that Sand Sunagakure's puppet technique is still difficult to deal with, especially this Jinmin summoned 7 puppets. Kyosuke also had to look a little dignified. In the current situation, Kyosuke and the others are at a huge disadvantage. Go. Kinemon directly controlled 7 puppets with both hands, and 2 of them rushed straight to Kyosuke. As for the other 5 puppets, Yuhi is really red to deal with. This is near Iman, Sand Shinobi's elite jonin, and while he was going to fight with Yuhi he didn't forget to kill Kyosuke. Originally, Yuhi, who was close to Iman, was struggling, and he had to deal with other Sand Shinobi village ninjas next to him. At this time, 5 puppets were added, and Yuhi Jinhong was even more at a disadvantage. Now Yuhi Jinhong doesn't dare to be distracted in the slightest. If there is a slight mistake, he will surely die. Just when Yuhi Mahong was in danger, at this critical time, 2 of the team members went directly to help Yuhi Captain, let's help you. The 2 team members faced the 5 puppets directly and wanted to share the pressure of Yuhi Jinhong. Be careful, these puppets are difficult to entangle. Yuhi Jinhong hurriedly reminded the 2 of them. Don't worry, Captain. We will, Before the 2 could finish speaking, in an instant, a puppet with a strange face opened its big mouth and spewed out a plume of purple smoke. Soon, the purple poisonous fog enveloped the 2 of them in an instant. Therefore, the 2 were directly recruited. What? What? The purple smoke was highly poisonous and corrosive. The skin of the 2 men began to rot, and the poisonous mist quickly invaded their eyes. Soon, the 2 people foamed and fainted, losing their combat effectiveness. Seeing this, Mako Yuhi wanted to go over and let them down, but Jinmin controlled 3 puppets to surround him tightly, so that Mako Yuhi couldn't get out. Under Yuhi's fiery gaze, 2 of his subordinates were quickly approached by another puppet holding a sickle, who easily cut off their heads. In an instant, Masaru Yuhi and others, who were already in a disadvantageous state, were in even more danger. Zai, Ibaraki. Damn. Yuhi was really red and glared in anger, but she could only watch the subordinates who lived with her day and night die. The Konoha side lost 2 ninjas, and the fighting spirit was greatly reduced, while Sand Shinobi Village became even more arrogant and domineering. In Sand Shinobi's view, this kind of battle should be what Sand Shinobi Village should have. This is just an appetizer. Next, I must kill that kid. It was very easy to solve these two Konoha Shinobi players, and Jinman couldn't stop hitting Yui home. Kinemon is still haunted by the fact that Kyosuke killed two of his subordinates, and he decides to kill Kyosuke himself. Yuhi Mako couldn't help being surprised when she heard the words, and couldn't help but look in Kyosuke's direction. Just now, Yuhi Mako saw two puppets heading towards Kyosuke. At this time, Kyosuke was already entangled with the two puppets, and there were several Sand Shinobi beside him, who were besieging Kyosuke together with the puppets from time to time. So, Kyosuke is really in trouble here. Kyosuke killed two Sand Shinobi just now. He originally wanted to continue hunting Sand Shinobi to get quest points, but these two puppets were a bit tricky. One of the puppets emits hidden weapons and poisonous gas, preventing Kyosuke from getting too close. Now Kyosuke can only dodge constantly for the time being. Just now he saw the power of this poisonous gas. If he really touched it or inhaled it, it would definitely be over. It's quite troublesome. Looking at the two puppets in front of him, Kyosuke had a headache. In fact, the melee puppet was easy to deal with, but the most troublesome thing was the poison gas puppet, which made Kyosuke have to be afraid. These two puppets, one attacking and the other poisoning from a distance, cooperated very well with each other, and from time to time the ninjas of Sand Shinobi Village made sneak attacks next to them, which made Kyosuke angry. Suddenly, Kyosuke suddenly heard a violent wind blowing from behind him. There was a puppet behind Kyosuke, his hand stretched forward, and instantly an extremely sharp blade appeared in his hand and slid straight towards Kyosuke. Paper arts. Kyosuke's body was dodged like a piece of paper, and then he stretched out his foot and kicked the puppet. The puppet was under the control of the distance near Eamon, but it was flexible and avoided directly. The poisonous puppet came over again, opened its mouth wide, and a purple mist spewed towards Kyosuke. Grass. A plant. Kyosuke directly held his breath, and then his calf exerted force and disappeared in place. Shave. After Kyosuke's figure evaded and came to one side, the ninjas of Sand Shinobi Village, who had already been ready, came over again. Kyosuke is annoyed. This is really endless. Armed hardening, leaf hurricane. A fierce look flashed in Kyosuke's eyes, and he kicked him in the head extremely sharply and quickly at the Sandman who wanted to attack him. Bang! The Sand Shinobi didn't even react, and Kyosuke slapped him heavily on the head. In an instant, Kyosuke kicked Sand Shinobi's head to pieces like he was kicking a watermelon. Blood splattered in the air.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.